Ooh, welcome back, all my YouTube subscribers, Twitter followers, all the big Knicks fans out there. I'm sorry for the technical difficulties. I'm new to the streaming game. But without further ado, here's Simeon Russell again.
Well, I'm small on the screen right now, so we're going to get this sized up so that we are try to get this right. Technical difficulties, I'll try to tell you. There we go. There we go. All right. We back up and going, guys. Few technical difficulties, but Entertainah got it going. So
I'm just gonna try to bring up the chat while you're talking so I could see the chat.
All right, man. I guess we should just take it right from the top again. You were talking about Enes Kanter and the impact that Enes Kanter has on the team. And how we noticed throughout the preseason that when Kanter was out, there was, the offense started to look terrible. There was no fluid. Yeah, go ahead.
It was a different team when he was on the bench. I mean, you had no offensive rebounding, you had no points in the paint, and it really showed. He's clearly the best player on this team, and he's dearly needed with KP out of the lineup. They got no bigs. Vonleh could rebound a little bit, but you need Kanter out there. And I think he's going to have a huge year. Like I said earlier, I think he's going to make the All-Star game this year, or he's going to be in very close contention.
Yeah, and that'll be. Listen, I did a prediction, a bold prediction. I said we were going to have one of our guys make the All-Star team. I said we were going to have one guy make the All-Star team. Kevin Knox was going to win Rookie of the Year, and we were going to make the playoffs. Right. So if Kanter makes the All-Star team, then we just need to have one of these. Kevin Knox doesn't have to win Rookie of the Year, just be in contention to Rookie of the Year. If that happens, we might see the playoffs. We might be able to see them playoffs, man.
Yeah, I'm not going to say we're definitely going to make the playoffs because I don't want to sound like a fool, but I got scared off the last couple of preseason games. I'm not going to lie to you. They looked unorganized. They weren't pushing the pace. They weren't sharing the ball like they did in the first couple of games. But I'm not going to get deflated either. I always like to go into a season optimistic. I always like to think that the best possible things can happen. And if everything breaks right for this team, they got a shot to get the 7th or 8th seed. So we'll see what happens. I'm very excited for opening night. I'm going to meet you in person for the first time, along with a bunch of the people in the chat. I just want to say hello to a bunch of people in the chat. I see Payback Carter's in there, Max in there. Who else we got? Benny Breeze is in there. I love Benny. You know that. Viv is in there. I just want to thank everybody for sticking around because we were having a ton of technical difficulties. So thank you for that.
Yeah, and you know what, man? I wouldn't even worry about it because when I first started streaming, I still have technical difficulties, as you've seen. It's gonna happen when you're live, man. But when I first started, and some of the guys like Tony Crow, it would be 3:00 in the morning, and I'm like testing out how the sound is and different things. And next thing you know, I see Tony Crow pop on and be like, "Oh, you're on?" And other people pop on and start having a conversation with me. And I'd really just be checking it. And then they would help me out with checking it, seeing how it sounded and all that kind of stuff. So everybody in the chat is great, man. They want to see it go well and they'll help us out. They let you know that you couldn't hear me, and boom, there it goes. We get it fixed. So yeah,
I feel like bro. If you have some of the most diehard fans. If you left your chat open till like 6 in the morning, people would continue to talk in there. It's ridiculous. At the end of every show, I stay in there and I see Mark talking for like 45 minutes to everybody else. It's great. You really do have some great subscribers. You really do.
I mean, and it's about the Knicks, man. It's about the Knicks. People just love the Knicks, and they love to talk about the Knicks. I know I could talk about the Knicks all day long, all night long, and probably talk about the same topics over and over again and talk about it with just as much vigor as if I just started talking about it.
So what did you think? What did you think of Frank last night? Because I think he showed something. I think he took a step forward in that last preseason game.
Yeah. This is what I'm scared of about what I seen from Frank last night. I think what we seen from Frank last night cements it in Fizdale's mind that he's better off being off the ball, right? Because he scored so fluently in the offense, and not by forcing shots or trying to create his own shot, but by just catching the ball within the offense in the right spot and then bam, hitting the hole, going to the basket or pulling a nice jump shot or whatever it is. And I think that made, and he did it from the 3 spot, from the 4 spot, from the 2 spot, at the 1. And I think that makes Fizdale say, yes, this is what we need to do with this guy. Let him play anywhere, which bothers me because I think he is a natural point guard. And, I feel like you should start him at point guard, lead guard, or whatever, however you want to say it. I think you should start him at those positions and then throughout this game, move him around to other positions. But then when things begin to get out of control, bring him back in so that he can get at the point guard spot so he can get things under control. But I'm afraid he played so well off the ball that Fizz is going to say, this is what we need to do with him.
Yeah, I get your point. I think I personally don't care where he plays. I want him to play some point, no doubt about it, because I want him to develop this year. But as long as he's on the floor, we need his defense. And I think he can be a distributor from any position on the floor. I don't think he necessarily has to be the guy that dribbles up the ball. I think he can catch it at the 3 position and make passes and, get everybody involved in the offense. But yeah, I think his future, I would love to see him be a point guard. But I'm not dead set on that, right? I got to see him develop a little more. But it is true. When he's in, it's like you always say, when he is in the game, you notice it. The offense does flow better. It really does. You saw it last night.
Yeah, definitely flows better. And I think it's because he's one of those players that if the coach says run the offense like this, he's going to run it. When he gets a little bit older and he starts feeling himself a little bit, you know what I mean? He's going to say, well, you know what? I think we should do it this way. But I think he has the basketball IQ to be able to then do it that way and make it successful. So he's going to run the offense and he's going to take what's given to him. And I think that's exactly what this team needs, being that they're a young team. They need someone who is just going to run it the way that it's supposed to be run until the team has developed and built the kind of chemistry where they can do things off the ball and create and go outside of the structure, and then everyone picks right back up, because a lot of times, you might have something set and within a structure, and then 2 players see something happen and then they begin to create outside of that structure. And if you have a good team, everybody else knows where to fill in. Right now, nobody knows where to go or what to do. That's what it seems like to me. If someone breaks any kind of structure, it's just kind of like, okay, let me stand and watch and see what's going to happen next. And, that's not healthy for the team, in my opinion.
Yeah, the last couple of games, they've lost their flow. There hasn't been a structure, like you said. The first game, it was beautiful. You saw them, they were moving the ball around. It was great. And the last couple of games, it's been a lot of isolation ball. It's been sloppy basketball. They've been putting up bad shots. I've been discouraged. And Kevin Knox, and I saw Mark on your show last night. I hope he comes in here. It's the same format, by the way, guys. Anybody who wants to pop in the appearance chat, you're more than welcome. You could call in. Same number, I think, Sim, right?
Yep, same number. 516-405-2246.
And who's Mark last night on your show? He had me going crazy. I'm watching the show. And he's talking about trading Kevin Knox. I'm like, are you kidding? This guy hasn't even played a game yet. This guy hasn't played a regular season game yet. He's a 19-year-old pup, and you're looking to get rid of this guy already. I'm like, calm down, Mark. Calm down.
Did he really say trade Kevin Knox?
That's what I heard. Wow. To be honest with you, I came in a little late, but people were saying that Mark said that. Maybe I'm wrong, but people said that. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe people in the chat were saying it.
Yeah, and I think maybe someone in the chat might have said something like trade Kevin Knox or something like that. That's just ridiculous. That's just crazy. And listen, I think when Cantor comes back, we're going to see Kevin Knox play differently. I think so. Right? I think.
Well, and KP. When KP is going to make everybody's life easier.
Yep, that's true. That's true. And one thing that Who's Mark was saying that really does hit the nail on the head is he's talking about how Kevin Knox really sits in that corner and waits for, and is just kind of waiting for things to happen. I'm feeling like that's part of the system that they're playing, or whatever the offense is that they're using. I feel like it's part of it, because when Frank is playing at that 3 spot, he too is sitting in the corner. Now, Frank probably has a little bit better basketball IQ than Kevin Knox because he's played point guard. So he's forced to learn everyone else's position, and that's just kind of what he does, I think. And so he maybe knows when to come to the ball, and it's in his natural instinct to come to the ball a little bit more than maybe it is for Kevin Knox. But I think that's kind of what Fizdale has those threes doing, is sitting in that corner.
I think what they got to do, and it's similar to you remember when Landry Fields was on the team with the whole D'Antoni system.
Yeah.
I think they got to get him involved. They got to get him buckets like Fields used to get buckets. Those easy buckets, go on the fast breaks, this, that, the other thing, because that will get him in the flow of the offense. Whenever you see the ball go through the hoop, you become a better shooter. And Knox right now, he's shooting a ton of threes. He's missing a ton of threes. Like I think I said in my video today, I think he's like 3 for his last 19 from the 3-point line. He's got to get to the foul line. He hasn't been doing that. He did a ton of that in the summer league. He hasn't done any of that in the preseason. So he's got to get easy points. He hasn't been able to do that in the preseason. I know it's preseason. He's still learning, and it's going to be a grow. It's a process. He's going to have to grow throughout the season. But we got to. I was a little discouraged in the preseason. That's all. But I know he's a rookie.
Yeah, I hear you, man. I was, the first game he came out and it was like, whoa, this kid is really here to play, and then, things started to teeter off a little bit. I think he'll be able to get it back. I'll be patient with him. I think he'll be able to get it back. And you just never know when this first game comes up, and you really now have consistent guys on the floor playing together. That's when we're really going to be able to see, how these guys look together, and what Kevin Knox looks like, what Frank looks like, how Timmy's going to look when you really start to see these guys play major minutes together. Because right now it was just kind of some guys playing. That's why
you can't put too much stock into the preseason, because they're experimenting with lineups. Last night you saw it with Ron Baker was in the starting lineup, for God's sakes. You're not going to say, I know you love Ron, but I actually Ron Baker's growing on me a little bit. I like his defense. I like his hustle. I want to see Ron Baker in the lineup above Moutier, because Moutier's lost. I think he's played himself out of the rotation in this preseason because he doesn't look like he's improved at all.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think he's played himself out as well, and you can see it just through the playing time that Coach Fizdale started to give him towards the end of preseason. I think Moutier's probably played himself out, and he'll probably end up being riding the bench, and then if somebody gets hurt, someone goes down, he'll be able to come in and maybe add something. But I think we're maybe coming down to see the last of Moutier.
I was a fan of that trade when they made it, because Moutier does have a ton of upside. I mean, he was as I've said before, I think he was the 7th overall pick, but he hasn't shown anything throughout his NBA career, and he seems like he gets worse every year. I'm not a fan of his. I think they should just cut their losses with him.
Yeah, and I hate to say it, but Moutier may be on his way out the league, man. I'm sure there's going to be some teams that want to give him a chance, but he may be on his way out the league. We got somebody knocking to get in. Let's see who this is. Viv is knocking to get in. What's going on,
What's poppin', Viv?
What's going on, Entertainah? How you doing, man?
I'm good, man. I gotta say that you are the smartest guy in Sims chat. Every time I listen to you talk, I feel like I'm getting smarter. I love hearing you talk.
You know what it is, Entertainah? It's just like, after this many years, you just hear like the beat and all these other guys, they just spew all this garbage and it's all this nonsense that I'm just like longing. I was always, last 5-6 years, I'm trying to find the right people who have some sort of knowledge. So like, it's been like a lot, like I just try to study different people, what their different takes are, different perspectives. So, that's how that's how I stumbled on Sims thing. And, look, I'm just learning every day. That's all I can tell you.
But, yeah, well, you certainly know what you're talking about. Every time I hear you talk, and Sim too. You guys. I'm a fan. I'm not a huge X's and O's guys. I watch the team. I know what I like to see. But when I learn a lot when I watch Sim's show. I really do. With the whole X's and O's thing, you're great, Viv. I really enjoy what you talk about. The whole panel's great. You guys are always good on his show.
Yeah, I mean, everyone is good. Everyone brings something, like a different perspective you can kind of learn off of, and it's always fun vibes.
Yeah. So what's your take on Frank? What did you think from the last preseason game?
I think you mentioned a lot of good points, both you and Sim. I think to me, he clearly separated himself out, and the reason I say it is because the way he played. For me, he just sets the offense up a lot quicker, and the problem is that, especially with a lot of fans who don't get to watch every game, they tend to rely on the highlights, or they tend to rely they look at the YouTube videos or whatever just to see how a certain player played. In order to properly assess Frank, in my opinion, you kind of have to watch the entire game in one whole, and. For me, I watched the entire game, and I could just see that the offense is a lot quicker. And even if it meant that, Frank just handed off the ball to someone and just went to, the corner. By doing that, by handing off the ball within the first few seconds, they started running that play. And, I just saw someone, he passes one guy, passed another guy, who passed another guy, who gave it, I think, to Burke or whatever, and he got a much easier bucket. And you can kind of see the contrast. When you see someone like Trier and you see someone like Burke, it takes them at least 10 seconds to get the possession running, and it's just a lot of pounding the ball, and they may end up getting a bucket in the end of the day, but it's a lot difficult shot. So, sometimes people look at it all like transactional, like, all right, this guy gets a bucket. But for me, it's all about, who can get a bucket easier, because, this all adds up in the end of the day, right? So I feel like Frank just got the rhythm going a lot quicker to me. On defense, he's just probably the best defensive player on the team right now with KP out. It's just probably unquestioned. You could just see it.
I don't even think that's a debate. You watch Hardaway play defense. He always gets lost in the pick and roll. Cantor looks like he's taking some strides on the defensive end, but of course he's not we all know he's not an A+ defender. Right. Robinson has some skills. He could block some shots, but same thing. He's still learning as he goes. Not same thing. They don't have any great defenders outside of Ntilikina. They really don't.
You know what it is for me with Frank is he doesn't even have to get a steal to make an impact. All he has to do is just put his arms up like this, right?
Exactly.
And by just doing that, it leads to a bad pass. You could see so many times Dinwiddie just trying to make a pass or whatever, and it ends up going he ends up going to the left of the guy he's trying to throw to. Yeah. It's just he gets deflected, he gets this misdirection almost. Yeah, so he ends up altering the pass in that way, where it adds an extra couple seconds to the play. And that's a big difference. You could tell, and he just adds so much. He's not the fastest guard, but he has a lot of length and a lot of IQ that he can just alter the plays, just with IQ and his wingspan. Yeah. And you could tell the difference, with someone like Burke, right? There was quite a few times where Burke was guarding Russell, but because of his, lack of size and, his lack of defensive instinct, he lets Russell get into the paint easily. And what happens is, I remember one play, and he'd get in the paint, and someone like Lance would come to help off Burke. And that means either the corner three wide open for LeVert or somebody. So you could just tell that there's a big difference. And those, you won't see in the stats because that play would go against Lance. The defensive stat goes against Lance, not against Burke. So those things just kind of add up in a sense.
Yeah, and I wanted to go back to what you said about the plays being when someone like Burke or Trier or whatever is going one-on-one, and people look and say, well, they scored. Those plays being transactional, right?
Right.
And yes, the end result is a score, but you miss everything else, right? When players touch the basketball, they want to play defense, even if they weren't the one to get the bucket. They want to feel like they're part of the offense, right? Exactly. And so now we're talking. You go from being transactional to transformational, right? Where you're transforming the mindset of the players to, instead of I'm going to stand around and watch this guy go one-on-one, to I'm going to move, I'm going to slice, I'm going to cut, because I know I may touch the ball. Maybe it's not going to be this possession, but it might be the next possession. Or I'm part of this offense, so let me touch. I get a feel of the ball. Okay, I don't have anything. I'm going to pass it around. I'm not afraid to pass it because I know I'm going to get it back at some point. When you get players that do a lot of one-on-one, other players that don't really play one-on-one, they don't get into the game as much, because now it's like, okay, well, you know what? When I get the ball, I'm going to the rack. I'm taking a shot because I may not get this ball back.
That's a fantastic point, and we saw that with Carmelo. Carmelo used to kill the time. I mean, and Carmelo was great. Okay, Carmelo was the best scorer this team's probably ever had, outside of maybe Ewing and Bernard King. He was a fantastic scorer, but he slowed down the offense because everything was isolation ball. They didn't move the ball around, and players fall asleep. You're absolutely right. They get bored. You need to be able to move the ball around. You get the best out of everybody.
And Tim, you actually mentioned a great point: transactional versus transformational. Because I actually looked up an old Phil Jackson tweet. This was right after he fired Fisher, and the sentence was, "The style of leadership that I've been put in a box with is transformational is juxtaposed to transactional." And it's kind of funny. You mentioned like Carmelo in sense, and it is like even like with D'Antoni or whatever. When you just run pick and roll all day, it's really just two men getting involved in the play. Right. And all the other three players are just on the perimeter. They may get a shot, they may not. Whereas, I guess like during the filler hour, they tried to get everybody involved, whether it's like the center, where they get, they at least if they touch the ball, right? They at least feel like they're involved in the play, and as a result, that energy gets, translated to the defensive end. And I feel like, especially with the great teams, like the San Antonios and the Golden States of the world, they tend to get every player involved in some sort of way. Whether exactly. Beyond shooting.
That one year where the Knicks were very successful with Carmelo, with Jason Kidd, they did move the ball, and that's why they were successful, because everybody got to touch the ball. Yeah. Melo had his moments where he was in isolation, but everybody touched the ball when Kidd was on the floor, and that's why they won 54 games that year.
Yeah,
right, and that was attributed. That's attributed to Kidd, because when you have a point guard like Jason Kidd can. He knows, okay, it's time to get Melo the ball. He wants the ball. Now it's time to get everyone else the ball. Hey Chris, you got a call on the line. Tony Crow is on the line.
Tony Crow, what's popping?
Shout out to the chat. Viv, what's up? Entertainah, what's up? Sim, what's up?
What's going on?
What's going on, Tony? How you doing, man?
I'm good. Glad to join in. I want to make a couple quick points real quick. As far as like Sim, I remember we was talking about this one time, watching a game with Melo. Mm-hmm. And it's not always on the guy who's holding the ball per se. Because these other guys standing around, that's a problem. You still got to cut. You got to make these cuts. You got to make these back screens. You got to move. Like, part of the problem wasn't just Melo holding the ball, but it was other players watching. And I think that's been a big problem with us being stagnant. Like Clyde likes to say, we're staying in one spot. Mm-hmm. So it's not always on that guy who has the ball. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're right. It's not always on the guy who has the ball. But it is on the guy who has the ball, because those guys do have to cut. So if you get someone like, let's just say KP at the mid post, and he turns and he faces the basket, and everyone stands and watches instead of somebody flashing or cutting to the basket, then with KP it's like, okay, so now what do I do? Right? So it's
kind of forced to make something happen in that sense. Melo used to complain about that a lot.
Yeah. But what they can do, what that person can do is, they can just be a little bit quicker. So you get the ball, you turn and you face, nobody cut. You really don't have the shot. Kick it back out to the guard that's out on the wing, set the screen, and now let's get something moving again. Where what would happen with Melo, and of course it's not all Melo's fault, right? But what would happen with Melo sometimes is he'd get it and he'd be there. Nobody would cut. So now he's up to his third and fourth jab step. And then he decides I'm gonna take him down into the post, in like 10 seconds. 10 seconds. Yeah, 10 seconds ran off the clock. It goes both ways. It goes both ways. And that's where like Melo was really good when Jason Kidd was there, because he was shooting quick. Right? So he'd get the ball, he'd make a quick move. If he didn't have something, he'd get it out. But that's what happens when you have a leader on the floor.
Yeah, that was the main problem. It was more that he just ended up dribbling it. But,
yeah, and Melo before that year, Melo never really played with a good point guard. I think he had Billups for 1 year when he was in Denver, right?
Right.
But he never played with a good point guard throughout his entire career, really. And it's really on the Knicks too. As much as the Knicks did not provide Melo with the pieces he needed to be as good as he could have possibly been.
Yeah.
Agree. I think we gotta be a little bit patient with Frank. Because he's probably the best option as far as making the right decision. I mean, honestly, I think Baker is. I think Baker's decision making is by far the best of any one of our guards.
I think he makes
that's another discussion.
I think he's very solid.
Would you start Baker? You would start Baker, Tony, would you?
I was telling my boss today that Jimmy Butler is Baker with talent. You know what I mean? Yeah. He just works hard, and that's how he made his niche in the NBA. He defends and he plays hard.
I got you there.
You know what I mean? Like, if Baker was a little bit more talented, like that's the kind of energy that he brings.
Right.
Another thing I want to mention. Well, back to Frank. I think Frank has that potential, but I don't know if he is ready to do it yet. You know what I mean? To put people in and point them out, like go there. That's where you're supposed to be.
Yeah.
Like that play he did with Melo. Was it 2 years ago? Baker did. Melo's calling for the ball. Baker's like, no, that's not the play. You're supposed to be over there. It swung the ball the other way. Like that's the type of things that we still need right now.
Yeah. And I agree with you.
It's gonna be tough. Yeah. I don't know who's gonna do that for us.
Yeah,
I'm a little worried with Frank as far as like down the road he's gonna be special, but I'm worried with his turnovers and I'm worried with his aggression.
Yeah. And see, I think it takes. I think it takes Frank to actually be playing that position for him to become the commander. It takes him to be there. I mean, if you're playing him off the ball, you're playing him here. When he is playing that position, he's gonna feel like, well, I'm just renting this position right now, so I have no say. I think you've got to. This is why I think you've got to have a lead guard, and whether you want to call it a point guard or whatever you want to call it. You got to have that guy on the floor like Chauncey Billups or Jason Kidd or whoever it is that is the commander on the floor. And if that person's not on the floor, the next person that comes in, to back them up, they're the commander at that time. But I think you just got to have one of those leaders like that. I think Frank can do it, but he's got to have some time to grow in that position, emotionally as a young man, because I think that's just the case right now. He's 20 now, but then if he's on the court with Cantor's 25, 26, Timmy's 26, they're not that much older, but they're older in NBA years and in NBA experience. So naturally, he comes from a culture where he's going to, he's going to, I don't want to say lay down, but, he's going to, whatever you want to call it. He's going to listen to his elders, so to speak, right? And as he becomes 23, 24 years old, and he's been on the team a little bit longer, and he feels like, okay, this is my squad, this is my squad like I'm the best player, but, this is my team. I'm the point guard. This is
my squad. I'm the point guard. I'm the quarterback.
Yeah, this is my squad. Like if you have a house and you live in a house, your dad might be the leader of the house or your mom might be the leader of the house, but when you say talk to people, this is my house, right? And I think it's still going to take him a little bit of time to just feel like this is my squad and I do have a say so in what goes on. It takes a couple of years for that to happen with a young guy.
You have to establish and prove it, though.
That's the point I was going to make about Frank. Is I feel like it's almost like a rookie quarterback in the NFL. let him go out there and throw his interceptions. Let him go out there and make his mistakes so he can learn. It's like anything in life. You're not going to learn unless you make mistakes. That's how you get better. So that's why I think he needs to get a lot of time at the point this year. And I'm not saying I'm not an anti-Burke guy. I know a lot of guys don't want Burke playing the point at all. I disagree with that. I think Burke does bring some things to this team that will help with the point guard spot.
Yeah.
So I want them both playing the point. But I think you got to let them. It's not just him. Everybody on this team. Everybody on this team is young. Let them learn. Let them make the mistakes because that's the only way they're going to get better.
So I wanna just mention. I think Tony mentioned that like Frank turned the ball over a lot. He actually only turned the ball over 4 times in the preseason. So he actually didn't have any turnovers in the last game, and he had less than 2 turnovers a game this entire. So he wasn't a turnover machine. Some people. You know what you love, Viv? You're like the human fact check. I gotta watch what I say around you because you know everything. No, I wanted to make sure. I was like, I thought I saw something different because, I didn't remember seeing Frank turn the ball over a lot. But at the same time, if you look at the other alternates, right? Who are the other alternates that could do what you want from what you're asking from Frank? Has Trey Burke honestly shown in these 5 preseason games that he can do what you're asking for from Frank?
It's preseason though. We can't look too much into it. Let them play in the regular season before we cement that Trey Burke can't do certain things.
If you want me to be honest, I think Burke should play more off guard anyway, and I think they should utilize his strengths. I honestly think Burke during his preseason was trying to be the facilitator, the point guard, and I think it kind of took a toll on him. He wasn't playing his natural role.
Yeah.
And one thing I wanted to say in the preseason, we saw a lot of 3-guard lineups. What did you guys think of that? We saw a lot of lineups with Trier. I think we a bunch of guys, 3 guards on the court at the same time. What did you guys think of that?
Well, I didn't like the
I think Sim said it last stream. If it's a Hardaway, Trier, and Burke, I don't want to see that.
I don't want.
Oh, that's a horrible lineup. I mean, they're going to give up 150 points if those 3 are on the floor at the same time.
Well, I don't want to put. I'll take Hardaway out of it. You forget Hardaway for a moment. Trier and Burke just can't play together because the problem is they're too similar of a playing style, and neither one of them shoot enough threes to justify having both of them on the floor at the same time.
I agree with that. Maybe in certain situations, but if you want a 5-minute stretch, I wouldn't want both of them on the floor.
And the fact that Burke doesn't shoot many threes, if any, it really prevents him from being a true off-ball threat because you can't really curl him off. In the pick and roll, you can't even curl him off screens to hit threes because he doesn't shoot threes like that.
Yeah.
So you can't do those curls in the mid-range because there's not enough space in the floor to be that effective, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So which is why he almost has to play the point.
That's the problem.
He's not going to be effective. That's the catch-22.
That's
now Trier can shoot threes, but they haven't gotten him to shoot threes, unfortunately. And same with Baker. Baker used to shoot threes too in Wichita State, but somehow, for some reason, especially like in the summer league and whatever, neither one of them are shooting threes the way they could. It's very strange to me. I don't get it.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think we shot a lot of threes as a team, or at least as many as we should. I think we need to put up at least 10 more a game. Not saying force them, but you got to work it into the scheme somehow.
Who's Mark?
I like what Cornette was pulling them up last night. I like that. I think Super Mario should be pulling up a few of those. Knox, Hardaway. I mean, we got enough guys that can put up 5 a game.
Yeah.
We got about 5 guys that can put up 5 a game.
Yeah. You're exactly right, Tony Crow. Fizz actually mentioned it. Like, why is the team not shooting enough threes? And he said, he'd like them to, but they just he doesn't think the team's a great shooting, 3-point shooting team to justify shooting threes. Which I don't really like that quote. I think they should still take more threes, but he's kind of, I guess, okay with them not shooting threes. I guess he's seen enough in practice to say they're not good at shooting threes. I don't know, but I mean.
Who's Mark? Who's Mark? What's going on? Thank you for joining the chat.
I'm gonna let some people call in. I'm gonna listen in on YouTube. Sim, holler at me later.
All right, no doubt.
Thank you for calling in, Tony.
No doubt.
What's going on, fellas?
What's popping?
What's the dilemma for tonight?
We were talking a little Knox. I heard you take on him last night. You're not too fond of Knox after what you've seen in the preseason.
I'm just not fond of his non-activity. He shows me no type of activity, even if he's not scoring. He does nothing else. He just stands in the corner. If he was a little more active on the floor, then I'll take more into him. But he was like that since college. Once he get buried into the corner, he does nothing else. I'm sorry. That's just the reality of it.
He's still young though. He can still get better. You got to give him a little time. He hasn't even played a full game yet.
It's more off the fair that like him as the pick that we took him at. It's one of the. It's part of our chess pieces. You know, he's very important. So if he don't even amount to anything, that will set us back for a while, bro. For a while.
Now, Mark,
if you were the GM there, who would you have taken if not Knox?
Who, me? Who I would have taken in that drive if I had a chance? That fell to us?
Yeah.
My two picks would have either been Wendell Carter. I think he just does everything right, and you're never gonna worry about him on the floor. He'll be at his spot at the right time. He's gonna make the plays when it's necessary for him. And I would have took Trae Young. I don't care what nobody say. For me, his passing ability.
We're talking about at the ninth pick. At the ninth pick, though, Mark. We talk about at the ninth pick.
Oh, at the ninth pick.
Yeah, Trae Young was gone. When the Carter was there. Hold on. A lot of people are sleeping on this kid, but I think he's Shane Gilgeous. I think he is going to be a player for the Clippers. The way how he plays the game, he's a point guard. He's a heady point guard, and he's going to be. He might be more than just a solid player. He might end up a star player, honestly, because he's 6'6". He can defend. You would have taken him at the ninth pick.
Yeah, I'd have taken him at the ninth pick. That's how good he is.
The Knicks already have 3-point guards.
Huh?
They already have 3-point guards. You got Moody. You got Frank.
Listen, don't bring up Moody or Trey Burke to me. They're like they don't matter to me. They don't matter to me. And the fact that I know with Frank, like I said, I don't think Frank is going to amount as the point guard that we're gonna need in the future. I look at him more of he could do things on the floor. I look at him like his role. I look at him when he gets better in the league as Marcus Smart. He can handle the ball. He can pass the ball. He can make a shot here and there. But he is just not going to be what we need at that guard position, meaning penetration and breaking down defense and putting fear into opponents.
So let me get this straight. You've now given up on Kevin Knox.
No. I didn't give up on him. I just said, listen, him coming out of college, what bothers me the most is his non-activity on the floor. That is it. I didn't say I didn't like his talent. I didn't say I don't think he has a ceiling. He has a tremendous ceiling. But I've seen a lot of NBA players, when you don't have the motor to play in this league, you will flame out. And now players are flaming out instantly.
Well, all right, but I'm going to say this, though. In 5 games, he had 2 double-doubles.
Yeah.
Right? He had 2 double-doubles. He could have done a little bit better on the boards in the other games. The other games, he had 4 rebounds, 5 rebounds. He had a couple of assists in a couple of games, especially in the first game. I think he had a couple of blocks. I think you got to look at it as his preseason. I don't know if you can say he didn't get himself totally involved. Maybe he can get himself a little bit more involved. But he did some other things on the floor.
All right, let me tell you what he lacks when I'm watching him the last 5 games, even in college. He can't go left. He's not a great dribbler. He's not. He really isn't. If he gets the blow by, he's going to take it. But he is someone that don't have a great dribble. He's not good at passing.
I don't mean to interrupt you, Mark.
Yeah, go ahead.
How many 6'9" players have a great dribble? I mean, that's few and far between. He could develop into being a decent dribbler, yeah, but you don't expect a great dribbler at 6'9".
No. When I mean he can't dribble, meaning that if a defender moves his feet correctly, he stops. Like he stops.
He has trouble going to the left.
He's got to develop.
Yes, very much. And if you're going to be somewhat of an elite scorer in this league, you have to be able to dribble the ball to get where you need to get to. One thing I give him, he looks for contact from time to time. If he blows by the opponent, that's one thing I give him. But I don't doubt his game. It's the motor. That is it. And I'm scared of that. If you have
Mark, they said a lot of the similar things about Devin Booker too.
Who, Devin Booker?
Yeah, they had issues.
Wait.
They did.
Listen,
he couldn't go left. They said he couldn't go left. They said, when people went physical with him, he just didn't do anything. Like, you just get scared pretty much. So, those are a lot of the things that a lot of the scouting reports were.
Wait, they said that when he came into the league or when he was in college? Because I seem totally different from an offensive standpoint. I thought he was fearless.
No, during the combine, like during the leading up to the draft, I guess. I mean, I don't know. I didn't watch a lot of him in his rookie year.
No, he was fearless because when he was in college, even though he wasn't a featured player, he wasn't. It's a difference. He had a motor. When I'm watching Kevin Knox, right, and sometimes it's like watching Frank last year, where you'd be like, okay, go for the ball. He does not go for the ball sometimes. He don't put himself into the offense. Right. What Fizz is running right now is for players to react to what the game is giving to him, and he's doing nothing. Rebounds, yeah, that's good, but most of the time he's gonna get rebounds because he's 6'9". He's gonna be by the rim most of the time. But it's his motor. It's his motor, man. It's his motor. That's what I'm afraid of.
Let me ask you this, Mark. How much have you played basketball? How much have you played basketball, just basketball on teams?
How many basketball teams I played on?
I mean, just how much have you played? I don't care how many. Just how much have you played
I played up to 17, 18? Like my last year of high school?
Because now see, there you go. There you probably had the same group of guys for 4 years, right? But when you go to a new team with new guys and you're the youngest player, there is a big difference when you've been with a group of guys for 4 or 5 years and you know where you fit in, you know what your role is, and you can play the game a little bit differently, right? You know what the coach expects from you. You know what guys are. When you move this way or go that way, cut this way, cut that way. You know what guys are going to do because you've been around them for a while. Some players, right, come into a team and they try to take over from the beginning. That happens. You got some players who, and especially depending on their upbringing and the type of personality that they have, it takes them a little bit more time to warm up to the team. I can tell you this: if I go into a crowd of new people, I'm the quietest person in the room. I'm quiet. Hold up.
Sometimes, go ahead.
I'm the quietest person in the room, and it might take me 3 or 4 times to come around those same people before I'm now warmed up to them, and who I really am can begin to come out. Because it takes me, I'm a person, partly due to my upbringing, I don't trust people easy, right? I don't trust people easy.
Understandable.
So I don't let out my full personality. I kind of observe who's in the room, who I can be, who I can say this to, who I can say that to. I survey the room, see what's going on before I decide which way I'm going to move in that room. Some people are just that way, so we've got to, give them some time. It's been 5 games.
Sim, I think listen to that story, how it takes time for you to trust people. I think we're starting to learn why you have such a fond likingness for Frank Ntilikina. Because nobody, it's taken him time to get adjusted to the NBA game.
I mean, for me, Frank, actually, honestly, I just look at the Euro trajectory. If you look at every single Euro, after the first year, give them 1 full offseason, they're pretty good. And I just think in general, I think just with Mark's point, I think if we just take a step back, I think if you coincide Knox production with the games that Kanter rested, I think he rested the last 2 or 3 games. Yeah. The moment Kanter is out of the game, that he wasn't playing, Knox production pretty much tanked.
Yeah.
And I think the reason it happened is that early, I guess within the first couple preseason games, maybe even before that, honestly, teams just wanted to force him left, which is that's been the MO. That was the MO since summer league. Trying to get him to go left. And
what's popping, Isaiah?
What's going on?
We got the whole Knicks family in here.
Yeah.
Hey, yo, Sim, let me ask you a question. Because the same thing when Ben Simmons was coming out of college, because I watched his college, and he, honestly, if Ben Simmons would have played like how he played when he played his somewhat rookie season, he probably would have been one of the best college players to play the game, right? I questioned his motor coming out of high school, and that was his problem too. That was Ben Simmons' problem. And I believe with Kevin Knox, right? The way Fizdale gloat at him, like Fizdale look at him differently than how he looks at anybody else on the team, just because of his height, the things he could possibly do. And even when you hear him in interviews talk about Knox, I feel like he has the greenest light. If he's a little bit active, that's my only problem. He's a little bit just. Sometimes you gotta force yourself. That's what life is about. Even if you don't want to do it, bro. Sometimes you gotta force yourself to do things, even if you don't want to.
Like for you gotta force yourself to make a YouTube channel. You keep talking about it.
I told you. Wait, hold on. I gave a date, October 17th. It's October what date is it?
We got 4 days. You're on a 4-day.
What day is it? What day is it? Okay, my ravioli brother. Okay, my ravioli brother. I got you. But like I was saying, I feel like he would have the greenest light if he was a little more active. If he'd have showed himself a little bit. I'm not saying go out there and score 20 points. I'm not saying go out there average 5 assists. I'm just saying, when I'm watching you on my television, okay, Knox, I see you. Because when I watch Frank, even when I watch Frank on defense, I'd be like, oh my God, look what he just did. Look how he guarded 2 people in the same sequence. Make yourself a little active. I'm not asking for the world, but make sure you're a little active. Yeah.
You should start with just grabbing rebounds first. You you start with something simple, right?
I go back. I don't mean to interrupt you, Viv. Yes. I go back because you made me think of this. I go back to what I said to Sim earlier. I don't think you were in the chat. They got to get him easy buckets, similar like with how Landry Fields used to score. They got to get him easy layups, get him in the flow of the game, and they haven't done that yet. I think if they could do that, you're going to see him be more productive with his 3-point shot.
Well, once they get a real rotation, if they put Frank in the starting lineup, he's going to get a lot more easier buckets.
Yeah, I think,
this is crazy. When I'm watching him, right? If he made himself a little bit of a threat on the floor, that would make him get easy buckets. The fact that he don't do that, when you're watching teams, they're not really playing defense on him like that. They're shying away off of him because he don't make himself a threat on the floor. So the defense ain't worried about him. The defense ain't worried about him. If he made himself a little bit of a threat from time to time, he will get easy buckets, meaning it could be fast breaks. If anything happened, alternate fast breaks. Teams have to fear you a little bit for you to get easy points, just like that.
I think.
But they don't fear him yet.
But Mark, though, you know what it is, though, Mark. You gotta like Sim was saying. I mean, it's only 5. It's 5 games, bro. At the end of the day, he's gonna learn. You know why he gets the green light? Because David Fizdale, he's been there. He's been there. He's been with LeBron James, so he knows what it takes to for a player to have it, and he sees that Knox has it. It's 5 preseason games, bro. He's new. He's gonna go through games where he looks like he was playing in the summer league, where he gets 21 points, where he gets to the free throw line. Then he's gonna have games where he scores 5 points. You have to go on. Listen, I don't care what nobody says. Michael Jordan didn't have a great game every day his rookie year.
No, but the difference, Isaiah.
Yeah, but this is a grown man's league. If it was easy, bro, trust me, all 5 of us would be starters right now.
Isaiah, I don't care if he don't score 5 points, but if you don't make yourself active on the floor.
But that's what I'm. But Mark though, it's gonna be games where he He's a rookie, bro. He's not gonna know if he's not. It's gonna be he's not gonna know that he's not active, bro. It's the when people said he lacks a motor, they said the same thing about Paul George when he came out of college. They said the same exact thing. He had no motor. It's gonna take time. We're not gonna see.
Wait, hold on. We mean he had no motor because when he came out of college. Hold on. Because let me tell you something. When he got drafted, bro. Hold on. He was a defensive player coming out of college, bro.
But bro, they said he had no motor.
He had no motor off. His only problem when he was coming to the league, he couldn't score as good as he do now. That was his main problem.
The scouting report said he had no motor and he wasn't fully engaged into the games. I'm just saying that's what the scouting report said about Paul George when he came out.
Because go ahead.
He's similar to Jimmy Butler, Paul George. They both took a couple of years to get used to the game and develop their offense. Ron Artest was similar. They were all hopefully Frank develops into that. They were all defensive first players, and they developed their offense as they grew.
But you see that don't consider that you don't have a motor because you're a little active on the floor. Maybe offensively you don't have the motor offensively. But what I'm saying, I'm not asking Kevin Knox to score. I'm saying when I'm watching my television, if I don't see you active, that is a problem to me. All right, Frank can't score, but he made himself a little active on the defensive end when I watched him last year.
I'm hearing too much negativity out of you, Mark. You tell me Frank can't score. You tell me Knox can't score.
Hold on, my brother. Hold on. It's not negativity. It's just like when Sim bring up Porzingis what he lacks. I know what Porzingis lacks, so I agree with him. But one thing about Porzingis, he was active when he came in, even for how thin he was.
Well, I think we got to get that out of. I'm going to be honest with you, Sim. That was outrageous when you said that. This guy's never going to beat or stop Porzingis. If Porzingis stays healthy, Kevin Knox is not going to stop Porzingis.
I mean, he's not Porzingis right now. I still believe that he has the ability to be the best player on this team.
He's sticking with it. I like a man. I like a man who sticks with what he says.
There's no reason he can't be. Look,
he can, but he has to make himself. Because the difference between him and him, when I watch Porzingis, he just carries himself. He's very assertive. He's carrying himself like a star, and I like that in him.
But as a rookie, he didn't do that. As a rookie,
he surely did not.
But no, he was fearless though. Vivek, he was fearless. Even defensively, he was fearless in his first year.
Yeah,
he was very fearless.
That's what
I agree with Mark. I agree with Mark on this. I think Porzingis.
He was very fearless, bro.
He exceeded expectations.
He was just small.
I agree with you. He completely exceeded expectations because they didn't think he could play that.
Exactly. He exceeded expectations. His expectations right now is everything. Yeah. It's everything.
Knox's expectations are much higher than Porzingis' expectations were.
Yes.
That I agree with.
And you know why that's the problem? Because the ninth pick, and because we almost have a foundation. We have a player that we can go on with, and Knox is like the second piece to our puzzle. So he's going to be the most important. He's going to be the most important because we got number one already.
Yeah, but
he's number two.
That was more of a Euro thing because Porzingis was fourth. They still thought it was like 2 years away from being 2 years away. Because Knox is like a Kentucky guy, like, oh, this guy's gonna be ready. It's like, so if we didn't draft Porzingis, right? If you drafted something like Moutier or Winslow or Kaminsky, their expectations would be ridiculously high.
Right.
I'm serious.
Yo, Sim, let me ask you a question. What if we had drafted Moutier?
Hold on 1 second. Let me just get in on this real quick. Right. Yes, expectations are everything, and he was expected to be, a guy that just played maybe 10 minutes, got 5 points a game, maybe even played in the D League. Because he was so skinny, he didn't have any kind of
he
muscles.
Was skinny.
I mean, he was just a twig.
I lost my mind when Phil Jackson said Sean Bradley. I lost my mind.
When you looked at KP, he looked at some of those guys where they look regular, walking straight on, and then when they turn to the side,
he was a twig. He was a twig.
he looked like that. But he of course, he came in and exceeded expectations. Kevin Knox, at being the 9th pick, he's coming in and his expectations are super duper high. But I also want to be careful, right?
You got to, man, because them 6'9", they don't come like that.
But hold on, I want to be careful that people do this with. Well, they did it with Eli Manning.
Yeah.
And there's other players that they've done it with. That someone's personality, because they don't show, this big giant, all this crazy emotion and do all those type of things, means that they're not into the game, or they're not active, or they don't have a motor. Just because someone's personality is not expressive doesn't mean that they don't have the drive and the motor inside. You know what I'm saying? And you got to give them some time to get acclimated and start to really feel comfortable.
I'm giving them time, but I'm just listen. Like, as we come on these shows, you want an analysis every game when I'm watching my Knicks. So that's what I'm giving you from night to night. It's not what I'm saying. This is not what I'm saying he's going to do for the whole season. I hope the kid becomes. Honestly, I hope he becomes better than Porzingis. Because guess what? He's 6'9", and he's a wing. He's a very important tool, essential to the game. I want him to become better. Yeah, why not? He's part of the Knicks.
If he becomes better than Porzingis, we're going to win a couple of championships. End the story. If Porzingis stays healthy, you're going to have 2 of the top 5 or 6 players in basketball.
Even if he doesn't become better,
I'm telling you right now. When we put, I look at Porzingis how I look at Anthony Davis. You put the talent and the offense around this child. Around him.
23 years old. Yeah, produce talent.
And the thing what he does better than Anthony Davis, I swear to God, Simeon, he passes the ball. It don't look like he don't pass because of the players that we have on our team. But this kid can pass when he has the right players that can make the cuts.
Slow down there.
What are you talking about?
Anthony Davis used to be a point guard, for God's sakes. Yeah. I don't think Porzingis passes the ball better than.
Listen, you put it. This is what I want you to do. This is what I want you to do. This is what I want you to do. Go back, because I watched his overseas game. Go back and watch Lavier's offense. When it's in a offense, he was the focal guy, and the plays that they was running, it was more off the guards, running to the basket, setting picks for each other. It was just, this is why I'm saying it. I'm not saying it because I didn't see it. I'm saying it because I've seen it. Yeah. He can pass. Is the fact.
I know he could pass. I just don't know if he's a better passer than Anthony Davis.
Yeah. Anthony Davis is not a passer.
No, Anthony Davis is a better.
He's not a passer.
He was a point guard, bro.
He was a point guard.
Bro, he's not a passer. Bro, he has better handles. DeMarcus Cousins is a better passer than Anthony Davis. He was their passer.
I don't know, man.
Anthony, go watch Anthony Davis. He don't average more than 3 assists a game.
That don't have anything to do with you being a good passer or not.
That's not fair.
No, in fact, I'm telling you, Anthony Davis is not a person that's going to pass you the ball, because once he gets the ball, he goes.
That's the role that they're giving him.
He goes.
That's the role that they're giving him. That doesn't mean that he's not a better passer. I mean,
Sim, he's not one of those players that say, yeah, he could pass. No, he's not. He's not. I would say DeMarcus Cousins is a.
We thought about KD before he went to the Warriors.
Who? KD already had them two before he went to the Warriors. It just looked good because he's playing with better players and better shooters.
That's what I'm saying. You give AD some better players, he's already a good passer, bro.
No, bro. No. What I saw in Porzingis, bro, he's just, to me, Porzingis had the IQ for the game. Trust me, when you put a talent around him, I'm telling you.
We'll see when he comes back. We'll see when he comes back.
Go ahead, Tim. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Tim.
I was going to say, we'll see when he comes back, because last year when he was there, he was not passing the ball. He was looking to be a scorer. He was looking to be a scorer.
All right, now let me break it down now, because now this is the misconstrued thing with Porzingis and what he had to deal with last year. Remember Carmelo leaving, right? That's why I said I kind of wanted Carmelo to stay there one more year, because I didn't really listen to what I'm saying, bro. Listen to what I'm saying, because it kind of helped Porzingis a little bit. It did. I'm gonna tell you why. Because Porzingis didn't have to worry about scoring yet, and my only thing him coming out last year was if he could score at at a great level, and he showed me that. Porzingis was put in a lot of positions where this is what he does well. And he does what Shaq always tells Dwight Howard. When he's running down the court off a rebound, he asserts himself into the post position. He will get the ball. If the teammates are not moving Simeon, because the way how Porzingis plays, he plays like a system big. He's not like Kevin Durant where he could just get the ball. There's some place where he could do that, where he could just get the ball and just go. He's not Kevin Durant. He's not. He's a big. You have to put him in a system for you to see his true potential talent.
All right, so let me ask this. You're saying he's a big, right?
Yeah.
Pundits throughout the league and everyone, he has the skills of a 3-man. But he's a big. But you're saying he's a big. Which one is it? Does he have the skills of a 3-man, or is he a big? Or is he a combo?
He has skills of a 3-man, but Sim, he's a big, bro. Right. It's like Anthony Davis. Anthony doesn't have the skill of a guard, but he's still a big man.
Well, he's the tallest guy in the league. Of course, he's a big, but he's a big that has some skills of a guard. That's
some skill.
Yeah,
some skill.
That's why they call him the unicorn.
Yeah, some skill.
But there's a different. It's like KD is like a complete scorer. That is his title. That is his title. That's why he slipped in Golden State so seamlessly.
In the league.
Complete. He's just complete. So his tools is a little different.
I don't mean to interrupt you guys. If Porzingis comes back full strength, he's back to what he was, and he's still growing as a player. What do you think the potential is? How good can this guy possibly be? What is his ceiling?
Porzingis?
Yeah, one at a time. Don't talk over.
Yeah, go ahead, Sam.
Porzingis, I think his ceiling is unlimited. I think his ceiling is the sky. You know what I mean? It's all going to depend on what he does, how these guys help him develop his game and help him add different things into his game. I think the sky's the limit. I think the sky's the limit for both of these guys, but for KP, I think the sky's the limit. You know what I mean? I think I would like to see him.
I don't mean to interrupt you, Sam. When I say ceiling, I mean like in terms of like historical players. How good do you think this guy? Do you think he can be better than Dirk Nowitzki? Do you think?
By far.
Yes, I think that he can be way better than Dirk.
Come on,
I think that
bro. I think there's things that Dirk can't do that KP can do, bro. Stop.
Hold up. I think Dirk is not going to. I think KP one day, he can't do it right now. I think one day KP is going to be a 7-3 guy that can grab the rebound and actually come up the floor and initiate the break. You know what I'm saying? I think that he'll be able to do it. You know,
Dirk is my favorite.
Hold on, let him talk. Yeah,
there's nothing Dirk can do that KP cannot do.
Yeah,
there's a bunch of KP to do that Dirk can't do.
Yeah.
Where did Tony Crow come from?
Yo, where did Tony go?
Where he came from?
Yeah. Yo, that's Black Jesus.
But KP, I mean, right now he's so long that he's just got to get that dribble tighter. So he can get a little bit lower to the ground and get stronger, so he can get some speed. But I think he'll one day actually be able to grab the ball off the backboard and initiate the break. I think he'll do that. Dirk Nowitzki can't do that. Dirk Nowitzki doesn't have the same kind of speed, the same kind of athleticism that KP has.
That doesn't necessarily mean that he's better than Dirk, though. Shaq couldn't do that either, and Shaq's one of the greatest players who ever played the game.
That's true.
Just different types of players.
Do that. Shaq could definitely do that. Shaq was doing that in college.
Yo, if Shaq took the game serious, he probably would have been one of the best players of all time. Honestly.
I mean, Shaq when he was with the Lakers was not starting the offense. That's what I mean. But So you think Sim, you think he has the potential to be probably like a top 10 player of all time from what you said?
Maybe top 20.
I think Dirk is a fringe top 10. Dirk's definitely a top 20 of all time, in my opinion.
Top 20.
Dirk's top 20. Yeah, he's 20 of all time. He's 20 of all time.
What I see,
he's topping out out of the 50 greatest, the original 50 greatest. You think he's topping out 30 of those guys?
Yeah.
Dirk Nowitzki.
Wait, hold on. Yo, Tony Crow, did you see what Dirk did to LeBron? Stop, bro. Stop.
Let's look. Where do you think he ranked all time at the power forward? Where do you think Dirk ranks all time at the power forward spot? You got Duncan above him. You got probably Garnett. Would you put Garnett above him?
No, I put Garnett.
Yes.
No, I put Garnett above him.
You're putting Karl Malone above him?
Yeah.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
and who else?
I put him over Charles Barkley.
I got him top 5.
No, wait, hold
He's
on.
probably got top 10 power forwards.
Oh, he's definitely top 10. We're talking top 5.
Oh, yeah.
Power forwards of all time. He's better than Karl Malone.
You got Moses Malone.
Wasn't he a center?
Moses
Wasn't Moses Malone a center?
No, he was a power forward, bro. I
He
believe
was a
it.
power forward?
Yeah.
Hey guys,
He was a power
All
forward.
right, so I give Dirk top 6.
What Dirk did was like legend status because he was the only star. He went against 3 bona fide superstars, Hall of Famers.
I gotta agree with Mark on this. What he did in that playoff run was, in my opinion, the greatest individual performance I've ever seen a guy have in a playoff run.
He played with B+ role players. He's the only featured star.
And it wasn't just the finals. You remember that game? I think it was against Memphis in that playoff series. He hit like 25 for 25 from the free throw stripe in that game. He was on another level in that whole playoff run.
Think about it like this though. Dirk was the last superstar to win on his own, being the only superstar on his team.
Yeah, and
he's literally the last to do that.
Why he got clout too? Because he changed the league. Also, he also he also changed the league for like guys like Porzingis and them to come in. So he's part of what like Steph Curry, how they changed the culture of the game, how important they are to the game.
He has one of the most unguardable shots I've ever seen.
Yeah, no.
That one step fade away.
I will put that second to Kareem's hook shot.
No, stop it. The pump fake. Stop it. You bugging.
What?
You bugging.
Wait, the turnaround. Wait, the turnaround post. Dirk turnaround post.
The pump fake.
Do you know Dirk lived doing that move?
Bro, do you know how many
over and over again
people off the pump fake?
We went a little off topic. I want to get to Viv. Viv, where do you think KP can rank all time if he stays healthy, of course?
All right, so ceiling for me, I put it in ranges, right? Like he could be, I think, where Giannis eventually goes. Like Giannis.
Oh my God.
And then in the middle,
let him talk, Mark. Let him talk.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Look, Giannis is gonna take over wherever Dirk is right now. He's gonna be he could end up being like one of the top 2, European basketball players of all time.
Mm-hmm.
And I got KP around there. If KP could, get his handle a little bit better, and if he could have longevity, that he could really be like neck to neck with Giannis. If not there, then he can probably be somewhere around Dirk. And I think, the worst case scenario, he'll be somewhere at the level of Pau Gasol.
If he stays healthy, yeah.
And Pau Gasol, I would put right around the top 10. The bottom, like the top 10, top 15 power forward.
Yeah, people forget about Pau.
Power forward. I thought you meant all time. I was about to say.
No.
We're going to get a little argument here.
Yeah.
You know what?
Of all time?
Yeah,
No, power forwards.
Okay. Yeah, people don't sleep on Powell. Don't sleep on Powell.
Oh, Powell's one of them.
I think KP's greatest ceiling is gonna be. Oh man, this is when Dirk meets James Worthy, and KP can rebound. When I feel like KP can have a 2011 run. I really do. I think he can do it.
Yo, honestly, all he has to do is rebound like Dirk did. Personally, he don't have to be a 12 rebounder.
But Dirk wasn't really a. That's
what I'm saying. But he was effective, right?
I'll say, but when it comes together, I think the best statistical KP we're gonna see will be a 27, 50.
50 what? Oh, 50%. Okay.
50%, 41, and 87.
Okay, if you give me those numbers, we're hopefully gonna win a couple of championships because you're talking all kind of great numbers there.
If KP win one for the Knicks, he's the greatest player of all time in my eyes. I don't care what nobody says.
Listen,
I agree with Mark. You bring me a title.
I don't care.
Eli Manning can do no wrong in my book because he brought me 2
Oh yeah, of course.
Give me that core 4. First
Entertainment.
Yeah, go ahead.
I can't wait for Monday, bro, because there's a lot I'm gonna talk about on Giants that, like, Sim talks about the Giants, but my man, me and you.
I can't wait. It's gonna be a lot of fun. I can't wait.
Because I got a whole lot to talk about with that.
Yeah,
man.
Eli done, dog. Eli done.
I agree with that. Eli's done. Eli's absolutely done. And I hate to say that, but he is.
I hate to say it. It hurts my heart to say it, but Eli's done.
Yeah. I want to say what scares me the most is that we're going to pick a quarterback this draft when it's not a good draft to pick a quarterback.
Well, can we talk about that on Monday?
We're going to talk about that.
I know. We'll talk about it Monday. We'll talk about it Monday.
So make sure you guys join in.
I know you love Porzingis. We talk about him all the time off camera. Tell me your thoughts. Can he be a top 5 to 10 player of all time?
Listen, to me, honestly, listen, if KP was on that same rampage he was on for that month in the beginning of the season, he honestly could have been an MVP candidate, bro. That's how great he is.
He was an MVP candidate.
Listen, he is. Listen, it's not even his game what draws to me.
I see Sim trying to hold back. He's like, Listen. Sim,
he about to throw that bucket hat. He going to throw that bucket hat.
Let me tell you something. If he had rose the Knicks to 48 to 50 wins, he would have been MVP.
Mark, I don't mean to interrupt you.
Yeah, go ahead.
The reason why is because it's if he could uphold what he did the beginning of the season. The fact is that he didn't and he couldn't because he's not that guy yet.
Yeah,
he's not that guy yet.
Look, he showed me, right? He showed me what it looks like. He gave me a glimpse of what it looks like. So it can possibly happen once he grow in with age and time and with his physical problem that he has right now. He showed me it. It's not like he didn't. If he came out last year and did nothing, then I would say, oh goddamn, I'm worried about Porzingis. But he showed me. But one thing, why I believe in him so much, like I said, is how he carried himself on the court. That's the most attractive thing to me, is how he carried himself on the court.
Okay.
He's very assertive.
I'll say this about KP. KP was our best player the second year. Man. He was our best player the second year. He was And this thing, the way how he makes defensive plays, when it's needed, he makes the most timely plays. I love that in him. So
it's safe to say, all 4 of you guys think if he stays healthy, he could be an MVP. He could be an MVP type of player. You think he would be better than Patrick Ewing if he stays healthy?
He has the potential.
He has to show us if he can sustain what the type of career Patrick Ewing had for the Knicks because he was winning big also.
I never got to see Patrick Ewing play, but the way my dad talks about him,
he was good. I
got to see Patrick Ewing play, and Patrick Ewing was a beast. He was one of the most underappreciated athletes in New York history.
Especially that 1991 season when I think he averaged like 28 and like 10. He was, and defensively he was almost like 4 blocks a game. He was that good. Yeah. He was that good. They just didn't have great shooters. That was a main problem. They didn't have great shooters.
But they relied on him too much later on. I think they depended on him like into his mid-30s, and I think that
if they had Allen Houston,
that was more him commanding the ball as well.
They win a championship.
He wasn't ready to take it back.
If they had Allen Houston in Ewing's prime, they win a championship.
So I thought I didn't get to watch a lot of those games, but I thought the main thing was like they should have had a little more younger energy, on the team.
Yeah,
I thought like especially against the Davis guys, like
the Davis twins.
Well, yeah, they're not. I wouldn't say twins because they weren't related, but the Davis.
Yeah, but they were like.
Yeah.
I used to hate that team. Dale Davis, Antonio Davis, Rick Smits, Reggie Miller. That was my most hated.
I hated those guys.
Yeah.
But you know what?
They were so tenacious.
They
just gave like Oakley. They gave like the past the prime Oakley or whatever. Gave him fits.
But you know what it is too, Viv? I remember. This was when we won 54 games, and I remember what Clyde Frazier said about Patrick Ewing. He never got to have a Carmelo, and Carmelo never got to have a Patrick Ewing.
He never had that.
And that's that's always bothered me, and that's why I'm hoping that we don't do the same mistakes. Every time we're good, we only have one star
because we never have draft picks.
But their GM, remember the GM during Ewing's tenure, that guy also they had terrible management during like Ewing's prime. I remember it was a Strickland draft. They drafted Strickland when they had Mark Jackson, and then they traded Strickland for Cheeks, and it just they messed up the Kenny Walker pick. They should have granted that was a bad draft overall, except for a few picks. But
they shot Charles Smith.
Oh my God!
We could have had Michael Jordan.
We could have had Pippen actually.
Could have had Pippen. I don't know about Michael Jordan.
Supposedly Michael Jordan said he was going to sign with the Knicks.
Oh yeah,
it was
a master marketer.
Supposedly everybody says they're going to sign with the Knicks, and they never sign.
Yeah, Jordan was a master marketer. He wasn't signing with the Knicks. There was no way that Jordan was ever going to sign with the Knicks back then.
That's all he wanted.
Yeah,
no way
the way them boys was wired, they didn't want to play with each other like that.
Yeah. I mean, Jordan and Ewing were really good friends,
I'm always interested in what you're eating, Isaiah. What are you eating right now?
Don't tell my mother this is the church candy, so I can't eat.
Jordan and Ewing were really good friends, and you see them going at each other, arguing, fighting face to face with each other. Man, it was just a different time back then.
Him and Charles Oakley are best friends. They're like best friends.
And that's why I hate LeBron, because he ruined it. Because when he went up with Dwayne Bosch, those was the players he should have been competing against, not going with. It was the Carmelo, it was the Bosch, and it was the Wade. That was the place he was supposed to go against. He had to team up.
And that started with Garnett. That was a whole KG. And
that's what I always say. Everybody always forgets about that. The Celtics were the first team to do that.
And the reason they teamed up was to stop Boston.
And they won the
Hold on. There's a big difference of what the Celtics did and what LeBron James did, bro.
Well, yeah, LeBron was in his prime. I get it. Sim, go ahead. You were about to say something.
Yeah, everything that we're seeing right now is the effect of the AAU
of LeBron.
Era. No, listen, man. It is the effect of the AAU era. LeBron came up in the AAU era.
Thank you, Sam.
LeBron, Carmelo, all these guys came up in the AAU era. And if you know the AAU culture, when one guy goes to a team, he brings his buddies along. That's how the AAU team is. That's how it is in AAU. And if you don't like the way that team is going, you skip and you go to another team, and your whole squad, your whole team, all your boys go to that team and play. If you don't, know what? I mean, with AAU, it's like this. There's 2 seasons of recruiting for colleges. You have April, and then you have July. You have players who play for one team in April. They don't like how much playing time they got. They don't like the coaching. They didn't like the tournaments that the coach went to. You're seeing them on a total another team in July. It's that AAU culture, and that's the reason why you see guys like Dwayne Wade, LeBron, Chris Bosh. They want to team up because that's the way that's the system that they've come up in, teaming up with your friends.
They so fickle, man.
Sam, you know what's crazy? One reason why I didn't speak on AAU because I thought you coached it.
Nah,
and I never wanted to disrespect AAU because I thought you coached it. Mm-hmm. So I never wanted to go hard on it.
Yeah,
AAU single-handedly is killing basketball.
It's trash.
It's terrible. Oh no, you go, Chris.
No, I was. This will never happen. But the best thing that could happen for the NBA, because it's so star-driven and everybody's pairing up, is if they became like 10 teams. Because it will never happen because of money. But then it would be so competitive. But right now it's really bad. I mean, it's always been that way though. It's always been 3 or 4 teams that have a shot at a championship. We all know that because it's a star-driven league.
It's different. Different eras.
It's over the top now.
Entertainah, you know why it was different in 2010? Because that's when LeBron got the NBA to go behind him. He was the best thing for them. He was the best player. Meaning that
when he went to the Lakers.
That was Alfred Carter's prime right there, man.
Yeah, meaning that players should go play. This is what people not understanding. Marquee players don't go play with LeBron. LeBron goes to play with them. He goes to play with them. It's not the other way around. When he went to play with Kyrie, he was watching Kyrie. He was watching him. Go watch the All-Star game when Kyrie made him how he was just.
I remember that.
How he was just dishing the ball because he knew Kyrie could do what Wade could do, score the basketball. When he went and got Kevin Love, Timberwolves was looking to get rid of Kevin Love, so it was easy for them to get the first round pick and Wiggins. So it was easy.
The Timberwolves are just horrible.
And then when he went back to to go to Miami, he went to go play with Wade. It wasn't the other way around. He went to go play with Wade because guess what? He didn't win. Wade won. Wade was the big homie. He taught Braun. And then Braun went to Cleveland. He gave Kyrie some of that juice.
See, I think. How do you think LeBron's career would have turned out had he stayed in Cleveland?
The first time?
First time. Do you think Stars? I personally think Stars would have came to him eventually.
You know what it was though, Chris, that I noticed, and I couldn't blame LeBron for leaving the first time because they put a subpar crap of teammates around him.
Mm-hmm.
Bro,
they did. There's no doubt about it.
Literally, their best free agent pickup was Ben Wallace. And I love Ben Wallace. He's a future Hall of Famer. You know, everybody gets in the Hall of Fame. But the first year of the first stint with Cleveland was horrible. They managed him so. And listen, what they're doing now is what's going on with the Bucks, what's going on with the Pelicans. You have MVP. They're going to be MVP caliber players, and it won't be for that team. It won't be for their teams. Because Giannis, even though he says he's going to be loyal, AD's going to leave. We all know that it's going. But Giannis,
he got 3 years.
Nah, he's going to force it. But Giannis say he's going to stay. He's not going to stay. He's not going to. Giannis is. I don't know if you watch Dragon Ball, but he's Goku. That boy, he's just. There's no limit to what Giannis can do.
Listen,
they're going to keep putting subpar teams with him. He's going to leave. Someone in his camp is going to tell him to leave. You can't treat. Giannis, if you got an MVP,
I don't know if Giannis is going to leave.
That Bucks team's not subpar though.
No, it's not. Isaiah, the last 5 games. Remember when I said
was not coached well?
Listen. Never coached well. Let me tell you something, Isaiah. Remember when I came on the show and I said, once Giannis get Budenholzer, it's gonna just transform his game. If you go look back at the last 5 games at the Bucks offense, that is what's gonna unlock this kid's talent.
But Mark, though, be honest with yourself, Mark. Be honest. Let's just say for some crazy reason, Golden State doesn't exist. Let's say they disband. They're not the same team. Do you literally think he can beat a Houston Rocket team or a Lakers team?
Yeah, because he's that type of player that could do it. That's just like me saying that he has LeBron's talent. He has LeBron's talent.
He is the East Coast version of position.
He has LeBron's talent. The thing is, and he's not afraid of anything. When you watch him, he's the most serious forward I've seen. He has the talent to take over the game anytime he wants. So yeah, I'm gonna give that kid a chance to say he could do damage. He can do damage. You put the offense that he got right now with Budenholzer. Listen, bro. Last night,
it is beautiful.
Last night he's making those passes. He's making those passes he didn't make last year. He's making those passes to shooters, and they're making the shots now. It's just so different. Go back and just watch last night's game.
But my thing is though, Mark, I don't know, man. I believe in Giannis.
And let me tell you, it's just like what Kevin Durant did. He stacked the deck because guess what? He went with another 3 top of 20 players. He went play with another MVP, another top 20, Draymond's a top 25. He went to play with the best players. That's when LeBron went to play with D Wade. He was the best second guard in the league. Chris Bosh was like the 3rd best power forward at the time, averaging 24 and 12.
Yeah. He was.
They ruined Chris Bosh on that team. I couldn't stand watching Chris Bosh on that team. He stood in the corner all the time shooting threes. They completely changed his game. But with LeBron, that's the way you have to play.
Yeah, you got to play like that.
And Isaiah, the thing,
look what they did with Kevin Love.
Let me tell you something. If y'all think Kawhi Leonard is going to play with the Lakers, these stars seeing what the LeBron effect. That's why Kyrie left, because they can't be their own playing underneath LeBron. They can't be their own. You know what? So if Kawhi going to play there, he's not going to be Kawhi Leonard.
I think with the Lakers, I think with the Lakers is going to be different. And here's the reason why. One, LeBron is coming down to the end of his career.
Yes.
Now he's not coming down to the end of his career, but he's at the point where he's probably going to start to, teeter off just a little bit. And the Lakers are going to recognize that. And then you have someone there who is a bigger star than LeBron and Magic Johnson. So he's not going to have the run of the organization like he tried to. That's what happened in Miami. Pat Riley was a bigger force than LeBron. Magic Johnson is a bigger force. Right, Magic Johnson is a bigger force than LeBron James. So I don't think LeBron is going to have the run of the team like in Cleveland, right?
Yeah, he won't. No.
And they banking on Ingram to become that star.
Yeah, Ingram's looking good. Ingram's looking good, though.
I always knew he's going to be a star, but they banking on him because they're banking on him so he could be able to draw talent. Not necessarily LeBron, but LeBron's going to try to draw some talent. But I don't think those top players is going to go play with LeBron because they seen what it does to players. Even Kevin Love, even Kyrie.
But I think it's going to be different.
One thing I'll say about that is I think LeBron's going to have to reinvent this game. He's not going to be the ball dominant player on that team.
Exactly.
And some star players may go there because of it. Because they're not going to have to play the way Bosh used to have to play when LeBron was the ball dominant player.
Right. You might see LeBron average a triple-double this year. I mean, he's always been close. He might do it this year because I think he's going to be passing a lot more and he's going to be finding guys to score. LeBron might average 18, 19, or 20. He might average 15 points. He might be at 18, 19.
15 points is a little far-fetched, but I can see low 20s.
Yeah, he might be there in that 18, 19, 20 points a game.
I can see 22, 10 rebounds, 10 assists. I can see 22, 10, and 10.
He's going to regress a little bit and allow those young players to flourish more, like Brandon Ingram. Brandon Ingram's going to handle the ball a lot of the time. Just watch, because the way Luke Walton is just...
I don't think so.
How is he going to handle...
No, hold on.
And you got Ball. How is he going to handle the ball?
Bro, the way that offense, listen, the way that the offense they're running, they're running with Golden State. So whoever can handle the ball is going to be able to handle the ball, and Brandon Ingram can handle the ball. But because he can score and he's fearless going to the rack, he's going to be a featured player. He's going to be a very important featured player. Just watch how that offense run with Brandon Ingram.
We got a little bit off the Knicks, so I want to get back to it.
Hey, Chris, can I do one thing? Can I do one thing before we get back to it? Edward Hunter, I just wanted to respond to him and a couple guys who said something about AAU in the chat.
Yeah, but I don't mean to interrupt you, Sam. I can't see the chat right now, so I apologize if anybody's saying something I'm not responding. I can't see the chat right now.
Okay.
But go ahead.
And I just want to say to him, yes, AAU provides a lot of opportunities for players. And I'm not saying that it doesn't. I'm just saying that if you dig deep inside the culture of AAU right now, it's creating bad habits in players. Players aren't really learning team loyalty.
They don't play defense. They don't learn defense. They don't learn.
I'm not saying loyalty to the like to the Knicks or to the Bulls or to the organization, but just to your team. They're not learning team loyalty. They're not really learning the proper fundamentals of the game because players on your big time level AAU programs, and I'm not talking about your community level AAU programs. I mean like your big time nationally ranked AAU programs. They're just bringing in players. The best talent that's out there, they're bringing them in, put them all on one team. I mean, sometimes you got teams with players that, this guy comes from Baltimore, this guy comes from Richmond, this guy comes from the Bronx, this guy comes from Canada, this guy comes from Rochester,
Michael
New York,
Beasley, and KD.
And they bring them all together, and then they travel the nation playing. And there's no way that you're really building skills with these guys. You're just taking them and putting them out there so that your team can continue to get sneaker sponsorships, and you can get some of your college, your coaches moving into college ranks and coaching in college and some things like that. So there is a gap, and there's a place where kids aren't being taught how to play basketball, and it's hurting a lot of players that you see going into the NBA because they're missing. And give me 1 second, because Isaiah is doing whatever he's doing.
I think Kuzma's getting into a fight with his mom again. Go ahead,
okay.
Sam.
Let me.
I'm just messing with you, Kuzma.
Yeah, players. There's just a gap of basketball skills, education that guys are missing through a lot of these AAU programs. Now, I do coach AAU, and I try to run my AAU program differently. We try to focus on health skills. We focus on education, not just education as far as academics, but just social skills, life education. We teach them about NCAA requirements. We make sure we don't let them play if they don't have certain grade point average. It's just, that's how we're trying to teach them. We make them we're a service oriented program. So we go out, we clean up streets, we, make a bunch of sandwiches and go to where folks who are homeless and help feed them. We participate in Christmas in April, where we help people build, if you got low income families that need their house to be fixed or whatever it is, we help out. So we're teaching these kids how to be people, also teaching them how to be basketball players. And there's a lot of programs, smaller programs, that do these things, but then there's also these big programs that's where the dirt is. You know what I'm saying? You can look at documentaries and see some of these big programs where they straight up tell the kids, you need to go out here and play because this is a contract year. These are high school kids. They don't give a damn about a contract year, right? They just want to go out there and ball and play in front of coaches. You know what I'm saying? So, there's a dirty element within the AAU culture that is infecting our kids. And, across seas, they have a different culture. And, we really need to clean it up. Especially on those high levels, with those high level teams, it really needs to get cleaned up so that these young men, these AAU programs, they should be having, especially at such a high level. And this is going to be my last thing, Chris. Especially at such a high level, they should be teaching these guys financial literacy. What are you going to do when you get all this money? How are you going to handle yourself? How are you going to be able to handle yourself in the public eye? How are you going to be able to handle yourself when you got all these media and TMZ and these people trying to, snap pictures of you and do these type of things? How are you going to handle it when all these ladies are sneaking into the hotel room and meeting you maybe sometimes even in your bedroom? How are you going to handle those type of things?
You handle it. That's what you do.
Yeah, these AAU programs need to be teaching this. They're not. Right. See, that's why someone got 9 kids, man.
That's what I love about your directly show. On the coaches.
You go deeper into it than just the X's and O's. I would have never known anything. I don't know anything about AAU. I'm not a basketball coach. I love hearing about things like that.
Yeah, but
I think the main problem with AAU is just like the people they seem to lack that cerebral knowledge of the game. Like the idea of the kind of thinking beyond like the initial player. Making that second play, making that third play or whatever. Now you have guys like Steph Curry's an AAU alum, and I think being around Kerr, has taught him a cerebral way of playing the game. It made a big difference with Durant. Made a big difference with Klay Thompson. Go ahead.
No, I just want to get back. I love the AAU talk. I just want to get back into the Knicks.
That's fine. We get something.
Yeah, go. You take the top.
I just want to say one quick thing. Sim, you know what it is though, Sim? It's sad because there's not that many. There's not that many you.
Isaiah, hold up. Go ahead, Tony. Go ahead.
Talking about Kevin Durant, if he thinks he's leaving, and he said he thinks he's gonna stay, but if he leaves, he thinks he's gonna go to New York. Anybody seen that?
I didn't see it.
I did not see that.
I didn't see that either.
Where'd you get that?
Nick Young. He was on the show with Skip Bayless and
that's all speculation to me.
I don't listen to Nick Young.
But what I wanted to ask, and I know Sim said it, I think in one of his more recent episodes, he doesn't want to get too much into the free agent talk. But in a perfect world, which free agent do you think fits this team perfectly in next year's free agency? Not necessarily who's the best player, but who fits the team best?
Based on
I'll say this: my number one and number two guys that I want on our team, our current team, the way it's constructed, would be Kevin Durant or Anthony Davis. Those two.
Anthony Davis is my number one. I don't know if he fits the team perfectly because of Porzingis, but he's my number one. Anthony Davis.
I think Anthony Davis would be my number one. I actually think he fits the team perfectly because I think between Porzingis at that point between Porzingis and Anthony Davis, they can go back and forth seamlessly between the 5 and the 4.
Yeah, I don't think Davis will go. That's a moot point.
I will go with my first two. I'll go KD. I will then go. He has to be mentally and healthily right. Kawhi Leonard. I think Kawhi Leonard will fit perfectly. Simeon. I think he will fit between him, Frank, and KP. I think the way that defense would be and the way the two-way playing of that, I think that would be perfect for the Knicks. But my thing is Kawhi has to be. I need Kawhi to be here.
I think Kawhi's great, but do any of you guys worry about that he may have been a bit of a system player? Do you think the Spurs system may have brought a little bit better than what he really is? And I think he's great, but I'm just saying.
Guess we'll find out this year.
We'll find out.
We're going to find out this year.
But I don't like the way he handled it. That AD would be my first choice. I just think because of the contract situation, Kevin Durant is more likely. But now you put AD, you put Mitchell Robinson, Anthony Davis, KP, Knox, and Frank. Can you imagine that lineup right there?
Oh man!
We talked about this last year. That would be disgusting. You wouldn't be able to stop that team.
Actually, I read it. They said there would be nobody on the floor shorter than 6'6", and nobody wingspan would be shorter than 6'11".
That's
crazy.
Nuts. So AD is definitely my first choice.
Let's forget free agency now. Let's get back to game one.
I like that. I like that transition. Let's get into the Atlanta Hawks. How do you think we're gonna do opening night? Viv, you're gonna be there too?
I will be there. Yes.
All 5 of us are gonna be there. It's gonna be great.
Mark might get kicked out though. Mark might get kicked out, so we gotta.
Yeah, Mark is sneaking in through the basement and trying to crawl his way up into the thing. You know.
Yeah, Mark gonna think he Mitchell Robinson cousin or something like that. He gonna just.
You gotta do what it takes, to make yourself be seen, man.
Listen, Sim, I know you're a nice guy, but if you hear Mark screaming, just look the other way.
Let's start with you this time, Isaiah. How do you think they're going to do opening night? How do you think they match up with the Atlanta Hawks? And what would be your strategy against the Hawks, defensively and offensively?
I've said this multiple times. Do not, I repeat, do not start Trey Burke against Trae Young. You do not want Trae Young. I told Sim this. This is the Garden. He's going to try to show out. Shut that shit down. Off the rip. Shut that shit down. Like my man Frank had him on Summer League. Shut that shit down. Don't let him and this is why we need Frank to start, because this one is simple fact. I don't want Trae Young to get a good feeling in the Garden. I don't need that to happen. I need Frank to shut that shit down. No, none of that deep threes from the middle of the court. None of that. Because my thing is, and I'll say this to Viv, I don't see the same Trey Burke that I saw those 26 games. I don't see the little fire that he had.
I think that's a great point you just made. I think against certain teams, you can make an argument that you'd rather start Trey Burke, but against this team in particular, Ntilikina has to start because he's their weapon on offense, and I think Ntilikina could do a good job of shutting him down. Go ahead. No, go ahead, Isaiah. Finish up what you were going to say.
Oh yeah, because my thing would be this would be my thing if Trey Burke started, and Trae Young goes hot, the whole team that's a young Atlanta team. They need to feel good. And how do you stop? And one thing that gets young teams going is when they get that star, that high draft pick that they traded Luka Doncic for, which we're going to see. They're going to regret that. But they traded Luka Doncic for, and if he plays well, the Atlanta Hawks are going to play well. You shut that down, and Trae Young goes 6 for 20. That's it. We got him, in my opinion. But we just got to shut that down. Frank has to start. I don't want to see no point. I don't want to, because Trey Burke to me will lose that point guard battle. Start Frank. That's no ifs, ands, buts about it.
I like it. Mark, go ahead.
Listen, man, like Isaiah said, don't let Trey Burke cream us, man, because it's not just his shooting that makes him so good. It's his passing ability, the way how he makes plays look good. Been watching his preseason games, man. He got Alex Len looking better than he ever played since he was in Phoenix. He's one of those point guards. He reminds me, he plays like Nash a little bit, where his passing is going to make him great, not his shooting. Once he start passing, that's when the Hawks become great because they still run a good offense. They still run a good offense that's going to allow everybody to get off. If we don't stop Trae Young at that guard spot, he's going to cream us because he has confidence. He's not afraid of the moment. It's just because when he played in college, he was a little small, and the teams will guard him and not worry about the other team because they all suck. So I just feel like just stay in front of Trae Young and we'll be fine.
I know you like Young a lot because every time we bring up Young, you talk very highly about him. I think Young is going to be a bust. I really do. I was very happy that he didn't end up on the Knicks.
Listen, his dribble, he keeps his dribble, he gets into the paint, and he passes it. He does it at elite form, man. Even though he's small, but he does that thing very great. He's very great.
This is the smartest thing you said all night, my brother.
What'd you say, Tony?
I said that's the smartest thing Mark said all night.
No, I always say things smart, but that's why I kind of want him for the Knicks because he penetrates the paint. He makes these subtle plays that be like, yes, that's the type of point guard you want. People are afraid of him because he's small. Steve Nash was small. There was a time he was going to be a bust. But he got with D'Antoni, it helped his career. He just got to be put in a great position with other players to make him look good. Because other than that, he is a weapon on offense. Defense, he tries a little bit, but he's going to get creamed by players from time to time. But what makes him great is his passing ability.
Yeah, he's a better passer than the best.
Hold on. We talk about Trae Young too much. I think Trae Young's fine, but look, this Hawks team, they're not gonna have Collins playing. He's gonna be out. So he was like their stud, I think, rookie last year. But the guy who's gonna probably give the team fits is Taurean Prince. That guy shoots threes, he's a wing, and he's only getting better. So if I'm the Knicks, you got Trae Young is like issue 1A. Issue 1B is to make sure Taurean Prince doesn't go off and just shoot a ton of threes because he can make threes at a really, really high clip.
And Viv, I got a question.
They have a lot of 3-point shooters. They have a lot of 3-point shooters. What would be your
plan, Viv, to limit his 3-point production?
3-point shooter.
Sorry, what did you say, Tony Crow?
I said they have quite a few 3-point shooters.
Yeah, so I'm going to go into that.
I'm actually not as sure it's going to be an easy win as I was, earlier, because like Mark was saying, Young can pass the ball. That's his best attribute.
So Tony, let me
score, and he could probably get 15 assists in the game if he wants to. If he goes into the game saying that's what I'm gonna do, because he can pass the ball that well. And I've been watching their preseason games as well. They have a bunch of 3-point shooters.
The Herder kid, that's like the next Klay Thompson, I'm telling you right now.
He ain't afraid to put it up. Bazemore, he ain't afraid to put it up. I think they got the big man, Len, L-E-N. He could shoot him. The gentleman Viv was referring to as well.
And don't forget to go Vince Carter.
I think the biggest thing that we're gonna have to do is try to get Trae Young in foul trouble, and hopefully Ntilikina can do that. I would probably start Ntilikina as well, defensively, but I'm also hoping that he puts some pressure on them on the offensive
We have to rotate properly on defense.
Man,
That's huge.
As you guys are breaking down this team's strengths with the perimeter offense, I think Courtney Lee might play a pretty big role in this game.
He probably won't play much. I don't think he's going to play next.
He doesn't play, yeah.
I think that back neck issue, I don't think it's going to allow him to play game.
You don't think he'll play opening night that much?
I don't think he's going to play.
I feel like he'd play a big role in this game with his perimeter defense.
Yeah, I think the injury is actually a little more severe than they're disclosing. So I don't think he's going to play.
Goddamn, Ron Baker.
They're gonna have to rotate properly against these guys. They're gonna probably play small, and their wings are just good. They can shoot threes. So like Tony said, they can all shoot threes. So
these guys,
it's all about rotating in one big essence. So if they can rotate properly on defense, they can limit their effectiveness from three.
Right. We're gonna have to. These guys can score. I mean, they scored 130 points against the Spurs. Right, these guys can score. We're gonna have to be on our P's and Q's defensively. They're not gonna be a team because they're gonna give up. They'll give up 120 points too, right? But we're gonna have to keep up with them offensively. That's where I'm concerned in this game. Can we keep up with them offensively? And that's got to start with shutting down Trey Young as much as you can. Don't let him distribute the ball to those 3-point shooters. Make it hard for him. Make it hard for him. Get the ball out of his hands and make somebody else make those plays. Make somebody else distribute the ball. But if you let them get hot, they might put up 120, 130 points on you. And I'm not sure if we can score at that clip.
No, we can't. That's the problem.
Knowing that we cannot go toe-to-toe with them in terms of a fast-paced game, would you try to slow down the pace of play?
Will I try to slow it down on our end?
Yeah. Make it more of a half court. Because I know the Knicks have come out trying to push the pace. Would you try to slow it down a little bit, knowing that that's their strength?
You could probably do it because Kanter's probably going to be the best big out there. So
he's going to be the best
big. Try to pound it, have Kanter try to get his points within
Also too, I would love to see Frank post. I think Frank could definitely get him in the. If Frank posts, like Mark be saying about it, Frank can post. He can do it.
Frank needs to post.
Yeah, he needs to post. He needs to post Trey Young in this game, and I think he will do it.
See Frank with 35 minutes.
But the slowing down the pace will only work if we get efficient shots.
Right.
And right now, our most efficient player is Kanter because he can shoot everything in the paint. So if we slow it down and wait,
it's not Tim Hardaway Jr.
but see that's the thing. We've got to take. So, speaking of Timmy, now the last few games he's played efficiently, right? But
I hate that kid.
Overall, we haven't really been an efficient team from the field. We need to be efficient from the field, or else we're gonna let them get out and run. And if we let them get out and run, they're gonna find open threes on the break. They're gonna find open lanes on the break, and we'll be in trouble because we may not be in transition. I talked about this in a few streams.
Oh, we suck.
We are horrible in transition. Transition offense, we're horrible. We do not run the lanes well. We do not balance the floor. We make crazy passes across the court. And,
I'm sorry. Yeah. Tim Hardaway he pissed me off. There was a play last night where he threw the ball out of bounds. He just gave it to them. He tried to. I don't know if anybody peeped it, but he thought the defense was sleeping, and they weren't sleeping, and it came out as a turnover when Frank was right in his face, and that what gets me angry with Tim. Tim, it just. Oh man, it gets me so angry with Tim.
There is not a lot of Tim love in this room.
You know what
Bro,
it is?
He's been getting paid $18 million. That's why.
Yeah, I'm sorry, man. I know pressure is not supposed to be in a thing, but for God's sakes. You're getting paid almost $20 million. I'm getting paid minimum wage. You gotta do something good. Yeah. You gotta put. I'm sorry, Entertainah. I know a lot of honestly, let's keep it real. Almost 80% of the NBA doesn't play up to their contract. But Jesus, you gotta play at least somewhat to it. Stop. You're getting paid $18 million, bro.
Well,
stop putting your head down when you take bad shots, and stop having bad body language.
Yeah.
Grow up.
The thing I can't stand about Hardaway is his defense. I see he gets beat on the pick and roll all the time.
He's not good.
Yeah, that's the one thing I can't stand about it. I think he could be. He's like a shooter. He's like any shooter. He's gonna have his nights where he puts up 35 points, and then he's gonna have his nights where he goes 2 for 18, and you want to kill the guy.
But you know what Entertainah, he is who he is. He's not gonna be better. You know he's just who he is. It is what it is, and we're paying him $18 million.
You know what it is too, Entertainah too, is like, for example, Bradley Beal. I love Bradley Beal. At least if Bradley Beal has a bad offensive game, he's gonna at least give you some assists. He's gonna at least give you some rebounds. He's gonna at least give you some decent defense.
He's one of my favorite players in the league. I love Bradley Beal.
That's a $20+ million player. And if he doesn't give you scoring, he's gonna give you something else. If Tim doesn't score, and this angers me, he puts his head down. He has bad body language, which tells the other rookies, "Oh, if I shoot bad, I'm gonna pout. I'm gonna cry." And like Sim always says, that's that spoiled brat mentality that he's always been having he had a silver spoon in his mouth his whole life, and that's not his fault. His dad did what he had to do, to give him a good life. But if you're gonna be a leader, if I give you $18 million of my money, I gotta see something more than just you're throwing up half court shots. You're trying to score. You're trying to be Steph Curry when you're not that. Bro, get into the lane. Get easy baskets. That's always that's how the basket becomes bigger. Get into the lane. You're just trying to get the oohs and the ahs. Stop it. We need, especially this year, we need you to be better than the $18 million.
I wish it was Chris Middleton.
We need that. I'm sorry. It's like we need you to be better than what you are. I'm sorry.
Who's gonna be the leading scorer this year?
And it's Kenner.
Cantor. I think Cantor by far. Yeah, I think Cantor easy. I think he.
I said this before. It's his contract year. He's gonna play harder. My opinion. He's gonna play harder.
Interesting. Yeah, because a lot of people might say Hardaway. I agree with you guys. I think Cantor's gonna put up over 20 points this year. What do you think, Mark?
If Cantor plays, it's gonna be Cantor, man, because he easily chews up the paint, man. Chews that, man. He's amazing. I just wish he played better defense at the rim.
This is funny because I don't know if you guys were saying it, but I talk to Knicks fans all the time, and 2 or 3 months ago, people were killing Cantor. They said the guy can't play defense, that people were upset that he was coming back, that he took the option. Now all of a sudden,
No, it's because we don't want to pay him that type of money because he lacks on that defensive end, and that's very important for us because that's what we need instead of letting these guards get to the paint and score on us at will. But what he does for us that we have him for 18 million, we can't complain now because we have him. He does what he does, and he's the most active player on the squad.
And he's the leader of the team. He really is.
Entertainah, you know what I read today?
He sets the tone. He gives a little aggression on the court, and then he's a threat because he grabs offensive rebounds. We can't grab rebounds if he ain't on the floor.
You know what I read today, man? I don't know if you guys read Posting and Toasting. I don't know if some of you guys do.
Yeah.
So I read today about they did a team preview. They said if this was 1991, he'll be a 10-time All-Star. He'll be Patrick. If he was on the Knicks in the 90s, they'll probably win 3 or 4 championships. They'll kill Jordan.
And listen, if he played in the 90s, there wouldn't be as many issues about his defense because he wouldn't have to play on the perimeter as much. He wouldn't have to guard 5s and 4s that can stretch the ball out to the 3. Now, there might be some, he needs to block more shots. They may say that, but he does decent playing one-on-one against, guys in the post that post him up. His issue is stepping out on the perimeter, stepping out on the stepping out in the pick and roll. And maybe, if the pick and roll is away from him, rotating over to defend that guy rolling to the basket, he has some issues with that. But back then, they played much less pick and roll. It was more pound the ball into the paint, kick it back out, swing it around the perimeter. It was that kind of a game. He would have fit perfect. And
I miss those days. I miss those days where it used to be tough, gritty basketball.
Yeah,
and the Knicks would win games 82-81. That's the type of basketball that I like. I think
was the only one. I didn't have a hat on. I was the only one who didn't have a hat on. I'm sorry.
What kind of hat is that? What is that?
Actually, this is half from Puerto Rico. I went to Puerto Rico.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah. So I mean, I still think that Kanter can be. I think Kanter will be the leading scorer. He will be the leading rebounder, and he's going to make some noise for next year's free agency.
He's going to get paid, Sam. Noise.
Do you think he's going to stay here? Do you think there's a chance that the Knicks keep him?
We're not giving him 15.
Oh, I hate to say it. It scares me, Entertainah, because that's what I kept saying. Like, his contract here, he's going to play good. That the Knicks going to be like. But I hope that I believe in Scott Perry. He won't re-sign him, and I would re-sign Kanter for $10 million. Like, I'll do a.
That ain't gonna happen.
But see, Isaiah, I don't even know if it's just his contract year the reason why he's playing well. I think last year, if he would have played 30 minutes a game, he would have averaged 20. And he already averaged, 14 and 12. If he would have got just a few more minutes down the stretch of each game, he easily would have scored 6 more points. And
now you factor in that Porzingis isn't there too.
Exactly. Now KP isn't there.
More points.
I think that he may play himself out of New York.
Yeah, he's gonna play himself out of New York because he's just automatic rebounder in the post. He's one of the best in post scorers in the game. Like, there's no one can deal with him in the paint.
No, they can't. Well, and I think with the way. Oh, go ahead, Tony. Black Jesus.
If we're stretching lower, wasn't that giving us enough money for potentially a max and close to a second? Wasn't that the scenario with?
No.
Well, no. If they get rid of Lee, that would be the scenario.
Well,
yeah. And they got to get rid of Tim Hardaway too. They got to get rid of Tim too to make a second slot.
But the question is, would you want to spend that money on Kanter, or would you rather save it for a minute?
I'm not spending over $15 million on Kanter because he's not pushing the needle. When you're paying players over 15, you want them to push the needle a little bit for your team. And
I think Tony's trying to talk. I think go ahead.
What I'm saying is, if we had the money to go for a max player next summer, can't we then go over the cap to re-sign Kanter?
That's a good question.
Yeah,
do you know the answer to that?
Can.
I think we could, right?
I think you can. If you wait to sign Kanter last, you sign everyone that you're going to sign, then you can go over the cap, I believe, to sign Kanter.
That means you can't renounce his rights.
Exactly, and that's the problem.
You have to keep the right to. And
that's a risk because teams are going to throw money at him.
If we're going to give max if we're going to give max contracts, we got to renounce his rights.
Right, and see that's the problem right there. Because if you don't renounce his rights, then that's going to be what I think it's like $25 million cap hold or something like that. That he's going to have, and then that's going to eat up your cap space, so you're not going to be able to sign someone. Now, so that's the issue. Now, if you had enough space where you had his cap hold, and then you still had $40 million, then you can sign those other players and then go over the cap to re-sign Kanter for whatever you thought he was worth. But we're not going to have enough. In order for us to have the cap space, you got to get rid of his cap hold. I don't know if Kanter even fully understands that. Or maybe he just knows I'm going to sign here regardless. Maybe he's that kind of guy. I don't know.
Me personally, the only way I think he's back here is if the Knicks strike out in free agency and Kanter's willing to stay here on a short-term contract, whether it be a 1 or a 2 year deal. That's the only way he stays here.
A 2.5.
Because everybody knows he wants to be here. This guy bleeds New York. So that's the only way I see that he stays here. If you miss out on Kyrie, if you miss out on all these big free agents, and the Knicks are like, well, we got to spend some money, but we don't want to tie up our cap for more than a year or two.
Right.
That's the only way I see that he stays here.
Yeah, I agree.
Sim, giving Tim Hardaway that $70 million really put us in a hole.
You know what? I'll say this. This is that's why I wish Steve Mills would have waited for Scott Perry, because he did the Tim Hardaway, he did the Ron Baker deals right before he signed Scott Perry. And that was a little frustrating. That I was like, when I saw that on my phone when we signed Tim Hardaway back, I'm like, that was kind of a mediocre play. Like, it's crazy. We gave Tim 2016 money in 2017. You know what I'm saying? And it's just, we're stuck with him till 21? I think 21.
One more year after this, I think.
Yeah, one more year after this.
I think
it was 4 years. 4 years.
4 years.
2 years after.
So what? I think that's 22 or 21. I don't know. It's just a little frustrating. I'll say this though. I'm gonna really be upset if Tim Hardaway doesn't move the needle at least. He had to move it a little bit because again, we got to do something. You know, it's just we're getting ready to move into a spot where we can attract free agents and maybe hopefully get a player. And I don't believe. And I think Simeon and y'all can agree. Tim Hardaway's not, to me, a playoff. He's not a NBA Finals player.
The only way we're attracting anybody is KP comes back and he's KP for the last 20 games or so. If he don't come back, we're not attracting anybody.
That's a good. Well, actually, I don't know if Simeon's gonna do this. I was gonna ask y'all, what are your expectations? How much do you want KP to average when he comes back?
Well, I don't have a specific number on how much I want them to average. I just want them to play well within the system, and then when it comes down to those crunch time moments, see him take over. You know what I'm saying? And let his averages fall wherever they average. I'm not gonna say, well, he needs to average 28 points a game. I just want him to come in, play within the system of the team, and then he's gonna get what he's gonna get. And then when it comes down to those crunch time moments, see him take it upon himself when it's necessary to get those points. And trust me, when it comes down to it'll work out to where he's getting his 24, 25 points a game if he plays that way. That's the one thing that I think people wanted from, I don't want to go back to Melo, but you know, that's what they wanted from Melo. They wanted him to play within the system, and then when it was time for him to score, get his. That's just what I want to. So I don't want to put a number and say, well, he needs to average 28 points a game to be the leader and to be the go-to guy, because I don't think that's necessarily the case. I think, you know, you play within the system, help your other teammates get better, help them get involved, and then when it comes down to it, those moments, then it's your time. You know, that's how I want to play.
I want to see him shoot at least 44% and 38 from three. I can't take these 30.
When he comes back,
he has to shoot over 35%, because he has a form where he should be able to. He has a touch where he should be able to shoot better than his percentage, man.
Well, I think he shot 45% from the field last year. I don't remember what it was from three, but I think it was
47. I think it was 47.
I know the 3-point was like below 35.
It was 39.
His 3-point percent.
I gotta look this up because I thought it was about 43% he shot from the field.
No, KP was 39% from the field.
He shot bad from three, man.
I'm talking about from the field, not
field goal. Okay.
All right,
no, Mark, it was 39%, Mark.
I wish Tim was Chris Middleton. Boy, I would have loved that.
Nah, we don't got that.
Last year, where is this? Let's see. Last year, Porzingis shot.
Yep, 43.9% last year.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I knew it was under 45.
And 39.5% from three. Yep.
That's a great
39 from three?
Yeah, 40%.
39.
He was 39 from three?
39.5, 40% if you round up.
40%.
Oh, keep it up there. Keep it up. Keep it up.
Nah, he got to get that field goal percentage up, though. He's too tall.
$18 million.
You know what, though? If you're shooting 40% from three, I'll take a 44% field goal percentage. Because if you look at points per shot, that's like shooting over 50%.
Yeah.
Bro,
look,
he takes volume shots, so that's very good. And he's like in JJ Redick territory. And JJ Redick is one of the best 3-point shooters in the league, bro.
Listen, when KP gets the
problem is that he can't shoot well enough within 10 feet. Like, if you look at all his percentages, like, he shoots less than 40%.
He needs a hook shot.
Yeah, he needs a better.
Sound to everybody.
If anything, he's got to take better. Has to have better shot selection.
I think Sim wanted to say something.
Yeah, when he develops that post game, you're gonna see his percentage go up significantly, because he's gonna be scoring like Viv is saying. He'll be scoring in the paint, be scoring within 10 feet. I think you'll definitely see his percentage go up significantly.
I see a lot of people yawning. I think we're winding down here. Before we go, I want regular season prediction record right now. After the preseason. What is your evaluation? What do you think they're gonna go? I'll start with Sim. Go ahead.
It's really hard for me because I don't know if the preseason taught me anything about this team yet. Really,
I'm clueless.
I don't because I mean I felt like it was like it's just an extended tryout, and I think it's going to be an extended tryout into the season. You know what I mean? So I'm going to give us. Do you want a bold prediction or do you want?
I want your honest prediction.
Okay,
I want what you really feel.
I need the AAU prediction.
I mean, honest prediction. I'm going between 30 and 35 games. One. That's my honest prediction.
We'll meet you halfway and we'll say 33.
Okay, all right, I could take that. Maybe we can get that. I think maybe we can get that. And I'm saying this, and Mark is like, damn. But everyone says when KP comes back, we could be a playoff team. So if we can't win 33 games without him, then what's going to make us a playoff team when he comes back? If we're only winning 26, 27 games without KP, you're going to tell me KP adds another 15, 16 games?
Yep. I'm going to tell you that.
He's not there yet. He's not there yet.
I don't know if he adds another 15, 16.
That's what LeBron does 10. That.
But
LeBron adds 30.
See, I think KP adds another 10. So if you give us 33 wins this year, he adds 10. That gives us 43 when he comes back. If we don't add other players with just KP coming back, and that puts us in the playoffs.
That's fair. That's a fair.
You know,
Viv, go ahead. I want to hear your prediction.
26 and 56.
Oh, you're killing me.
Damn, Viv.
Ooh.
You negative Nancy.
I'm a realist.
Because you're very smart, and I don't like hearing that because you're probably going to be the closest. And I'm upset now. I'm going to go to bed very upset.
No, I mean, think about it though. Like they'll win their games early on, but then they're going to hit a rough stretch somewhere. And then by the time they hit
that West Coast trip, there's always the West Coast trip.
Yeah, the West Coast trip. And KP comes back, right? Then he's going to be on a minutes restriction, so he can't really do much anyways. So and he's going to miss every other game. So it's almost like, if you add all the stuff up, then all of a sudden you go to the All-Star break and you're so far under 500 that means you're pretty much like, all right, time to play kids, time to play someone else now, right? Time to get Mitchell Robinson real minutes. So then all of a sudden, those things add up. Then you're pretty much tanking last month and a half of the year. And then you end up...
Cam Reddish, by the way. Cam Reddish.
I don't want to hear the word tank. Enough with the word tank.
They're not tank, but, they'll be put in a position where
I'm trying to win games. I'm trying to win as many games as we can and be the best team we can. Because then when KP does come back...
They'll win games, though. It's not... I mean, they'll try to win games. It's just the fact
let me ask you a related question. Say KP comes back with 25 games to go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
How many wins do they need to have a shot at the playoffs when KP comes back?
25 games. They need to win all 25 games.
No. I'm saying what. I'm saying what. Say there. What would that be? Like 55 games in whatever it is. I'm not good at math. Whatever it is. 55 games in about.
Yeah.
What is there? How many wins do they need at that point to have a shot to make a push for the playoffs?
At least 17.
If it's 25 games, it's 20.
If we played 55 games
when he comes back.
Yeah,
if we played 55 games, say we have 20, do you think they could win 16 of the remaining 25 with KP to make a push for the playoffs?
No.
Too late,
I don't think so because it's going to take time. That means
you're gonna, because you got to be real though. You're giving I'm giving KP 2 to 3 weeks to get back in form. Just get back in game shape.
Exactly.
So you're saying at least 25 wins at that point to have a shot at the playoffs.
Be about 25 and 30, like Tony just said, about 25 and 30. Then that maybe gives us a shot at the playoffs. Maybe he can come in when he finally gets in shape. We can go on a nice little run or something like that. And to what Viv was saying, I'm not saying like we try to win with veterans, right? I want to win with our young. I want to try to win the best we can with our young guys and be prepared. So when KP comes back, he's coming back to a squad that can be competitive. Because to me, it's going to be
competent.
It's going to be important that, just to me, it's important when KP comes back, and this Scott Perry mentioned this a while back, right? He said it's our job when KP comes back to make sure that he has some guys around him that can ball. If we're going out and we're tanking the season, we got our mindset on losing. We're not teaching these guys. We're not teaching these guys to be players, and we're not putting him in a position. Now, so much pressure is on just him when he comes back, right? Because it's like, okay, you're back now. Now you're supposed to be here, but we didn't really prepare these guys to play with KP. So I think we gotta play the young guys. We gotta play the young guys, but we really gotta try to do the best we can to put these guys in a position to be successful.
I don't disagree with that, but at the same time, we don't have the veterans like we did. We don't have veterans that are going to be playing over a lot of these, younger guys. So, we're going to have a lot of young guys playing anyways. It's just the fact that we're trying to win every game. That's not the question. The problem is, can we actually win those games? And do we have enough talent, and do we have enough scoring that can help us win a lot of the games? And that's my whole problem with I just see we're gonna have a lot of trouble scoring.
So I'll tell you what though, Bill. I'll say this though. I'm gonna chip in. So one thing, I wish we did have Jerry Jack. I wish we did because I love Jerry Jack's leadership. The biggest. I'll say this though. The biggest thing that made me think Jerry Jack's gonna be a great head coach one day. Because I remember, I remember when you remember when Frank Ntilikina did that fake pass and he scored.
That was all Jerry Jack.
And remember when Jerry Jack spoke to him right after, he said, "You see what you did." I love the coaching with Jerry Jack, and once he retires, he's going to be one of the most sought after assistant coach or head coaches in the league.
I agree.
I'll say this though.
They said the same thing about Derek Fisher though.
They did, but Entertainah, you know what I think was I don't want to stray too far, but the biggest problem with him was he didn't become an assistant coach first.
Yeah,
that's a good point.
That was the biggest, and I think that was the biggest problem with Jason Kidd too. I thought that was the biggest problem with Jason Kidd too.
Was a decent coach though. I think Jason Kidd was a decent coach.
He just had some bad strategies. Like
throwing water on the court to stop. Remember when he did that? He threw the water on the court or whatever.
You know what he was though? He had the Magic Johnson syndrome. When he was so great, he couldn't.
Yes, he was.
He couldn't. What he wanted to do, what he wanted to show them, they couldn't do because they weren't talented. And that's the same thing happened to Magic Johnson when he was a coach.
Yeah, and I feel like Derek Fisher. I think Derek Fisher would have did better someplace else. I felt like he tried to be Phil. He tried to be Phil too much.
Right.
I mean, I don't think he has the personality of a head coach. He just
and he'll sleep with your girlfriend. He'll sleep with your girlfriend too.
And I mean, I would listen to him in interviews. And I'm like, you're trying to be. I felt like he was trying to be too philosophical instead of just getting down to just the nitty gritty. Someone would ask him a question about a player.
But you saw what happened when he tried to do that. You saw what happened when he tried to do that. He got fired.
He didn't try. He promised. He was very he just seemed very passive in a sense. Like his demeanor was just kind of like he was kind of off in that sense. I didn't see head coaching him. I don't see head coaching him now either.
Yeah, but back to what I was gonna really say about the record. I'll say this: if Jeff can get 29 wins out of this team and nobody wanted to play for him, I do believe with Fizz they can get 35.
But let's be fair.
Part
of those 29 wins had Porzingis on the team.
Yeah.
Yes, a lot of them did. But you know what though? Chris, it's just like a good boss. When you got a good boss, you want to come to work early, and you actually want to work for the guy, and you want to make sure he does good. And I think with Fizz is your good boss. Fizz is your favorite boss you ever had. You want to work for him, and you enjoy going to work with him.
They'll enjoy working with him.
I do think they'll get 35 wins. I believe that. 35 wins. I'm going 35.
I like it. Go ahead, Mark. Tell me yours.
Very less than 25 games.
Is he breaking up? Is he breaking up? You guys
You're breaking up.
Yeah, and let me answer a question for Mark right quick while he's breaking up. because it's something that I had as well. The Knicks were 23-31 when KP got injured. Then of course they ended that night 23-32 when KP got injured. So they were 8 games below by 500 when KP got injured. Right. Yeah. So no, you were asking what was the Knicks record?
Okay. Listen, the fact that I'm watching preseason and I still don't know how we're going to score over 100 points because, like I said, we don't take threes. We just don't take threes, and we have to be comfortable at the 3-point line. We don't have any elite scorers right now for us right now to go against these teams, especially when they point guards come to town, man. Our defense ain't there yet.
Well, I'm not worried about the point guard battles with Frank.
You know what I mean? And Sim, the only thing I want us to do is play as hard as we can and develop those players and a defensive culture. That's all I can say. But winning over 29 games is just a reach due to the fact that we can't score.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I just don't.
What's your number then? What's your number?
My number is probably like the most I'll give the Knicks is probably 24 wins. I want to say 20, but I'm saying 24.
Maybe.
This is getting depressing.
We'll see.
What did Vivek say?
I think that
he said 2. He said 2 wins.
I mean, I think the reason why without KP, there's going to be some guys that step up, and I feel like the end of last year we could have been much better, even though KP went down. I just feel like Jeff lost the locker room, and that was a really
second year in a row he did it. He lost it twice.
I feel
don't
like
know if he lost the locker room, Sim. I just think by that time it was just
he lost me.
Kind of like. Yeah, they just lost interest in the sense that they were putting out this random group of players that, it was just a whole mess. And they were just kind of like flattering things around, just like, hey, let me just see this.
I feel like they had more talent than getting 6 wins the rest of the season after KP got hurt.
I saw Courtney Lee give up.
6 wins.
I saw Courtney Lee give up.
Yeah, but Courtney Lee he's not going to add that many wins to your team. Like, it's like, but
Viv, I think they went through the motions. That's what I think. I seen them go through the motions, Sam. Viv. I seen them go, hey, honestly, their minds were on Cancun. They really were.
Yeah.
I don't know about Cancun. They just they did give up, yeah, but that's like, hey, we're like the worst talented team outside of the Suns and whatever, so like
I just think they had more talent than 6 wins. I mean, you're talking about 23-31, that's 44 games into the season. You still have 38 games left. You're gonna tell me that team couldn't get 10 out of 38? I think they could have. There were some games where they were tight. There were some games where they were there and they couldn't pull it out. And I think
we got swept by the Hawks.
There was a lot of those games too.
But I'm
looking at the games post KP injury, right? They lost to the Hawks. All right, whatever. They lost to the Bucks.
The Magic.
The Raptors.
Hold on. Let them go.
They beat the Magic. Magic are a worse team, right? But then they had Boston, Golden State. Then they had the West Coast trip, right? They lost all of those. Not surprised. They had the Raptors again. They could have beat Dallas because that was probably one win they could have probably, had. They could have won that. But most of these teams, honestly, they were like either playoff contending or clearly much better talented teams than we were. Like, I'm looking at that schedule, Yeah, we faced the Hornets once, but that's about it. But
Viv, you know what it is too, Viv. And this is why I say Jeff lost the team. Third quarters. They said it. They said it this year. Third quarters. Listen, we were up by Golden State, even though we all know we were going to lose. But we were up at a halftime at Golden State. You know what happened? They're the best third team. Were they the best third quarter team? We're the worst third quarter team, and it showed. They literally just switched it on.
Well, I think that's the reason he lost the team.
And then Trey Burke threw a little shot at Jeff Hornacek. He said this year when after the half, they go through the shooting drill. They don't go talk to people. They don't go take pictures with people. They actually go warm up and actually do their shoot around.
Yeah, but that sounds nice or whatever. But if Burke was part of that whole nonsense too, I don't really take a lot of that for faith. Look, like that's fine. Whatever. I know Jeff is not a good coach. His whole he got bullied around in Phoenix. I mean, if you get bullied around in Phoenix, that's clearly a red flag there. But yeah, he did give up. He was a lame duck coach pretty much, and he played the second half of the season like he was a lame duck coach.
Yo, what did Mark used to always say? Jeff would always smile after we lose. Mark would always say it. They would always
post game interviews. He was like, he was like, all right, but we like give up this. It's like
he was a horrible coach. He really after the Knicks, he really was.
Right? Like,
the Jared Jack thing was a disgrace. Starting Jared Jack.
Oh my God.
30 tonight.
Yeah, that was a disgrace. But I'm depressed at your win predictions. I'm hoping for more. I'm the ultimate optimist. Okay, I said the Giants were going to make the playoffs this year, and I'm going to say, and I'm going to say the Knicks.
Talk about that, man.
I'm going to say I don't think so anymore, for God's sakes. They'd be lucky if they win 4 games. But I'm going to say the Knicks win 37.
Chris, I love you. Chris, I love you, Chris. I love you, Chris.
If the first 20 games will tell me, if the first 20 games we do well, I'll change my mind. But those first 20 games that's on my brain.
Yeah.
Why don't we wait?
You, Chris.
Let's do this real quick, right? Let's do this real quick. Why don't we just break down the schedule real quick? It won't take.
Oh yeah, let's do that.
Let's break it down.
Wait, hold on. We're gonna do that on season preview. That's how you get him, Sim. That's how you get him, Sim.
That's how you did. Yeah, we're gonna break it down month by month, and I'll kind of.
Oh, that's actually dang, Sim. Dang, Viv, that's good. Sim, I hope you on that.
What?
Yeah, actually, we don't even hit the West Coast trip until New Year's. Oh, they got their. After Christmas into New Year's. Milwaukee, Utah, Denver, Lakers. Oh, jeez, this is a preview.
You really depressed me. I can't listen to you. You bring up a lot of bad news with the Knicks. I don't like that.
Daily news, man.
Vegas decline me. I'm telling you.
Chris, Vin the type of dude, like, if we was in class, he'd be like, we're all gonna fail the test. All of us didn't study. No, give us Vim the dude who got all the answers for the test. He'd be like, nah, I'm the only one who studied. I'm not going to give you all the answers.
Right.
No.
I agree like that, man.
But the sad thing is, Viv's probably going to be right, and I'm going to look like a moron. But I'm going to be optimistic, and I'm going for 37 wins.
Every season, you got to have some optimism. Otherwise, you're the New York Daily News.
I'm right there with you.
We got a former Nets fan on the New York Daily News. That's we don't want to be the New York.
Hey, hold on, Tony was saying something. Tony, what was you saying?
Wait, Tony's still here? He not asleep?
I said I'm right there with you, Entertainah. I got 37 wins also.
I love it.
What? I love the energy. All right.
And it starts opening night. We're gonna be 1-0 when we all go there. We're gonna have a blast.
With it.
Hey, that's all we want though. Opening night. Whenever we're there, we should win those games.
Yeah. And MLK, we're gonna win an MLK. You guys going to MLK too?
Me and my father gonna. I gotta buy the tickets.
Yeah, you gotta get it. We gotta get them up, man. We gotta try to get the room booked by the 26th.
Yeah, I got you. So I'm trying to get.
Tony Crow said 37 wins.
Mm-hmm.
Great minds think alike. Great minds think alike.
I'm gonna text you about that too.
Yeah, because we trying to get the money in by the 26th, so nobody books the room from underneath us.
Yeah, I got you. I gotta get me and my dad right.
Yeah, so right now the guy told me that every Thursday they're gonna put it on hold for another week up until the 26th. So that's why I'm trying to get it. I'm trying to get it booked by the 26th.
See, look,
Viv, you were gonna say something real quick?
I was gonna say this, right? Our boy Jonathan Macri, he's like the biggest Knicks optimist. He was like
I like him.
He was the biggest optimist last year, heading into the season or whatever. But even this season, he was like, "Man, this season's gonna be rough too." So, but he's
no longer the biggest Knicks optimist. Okay,
I think you've taken over now as the biggest Knicks optimist. I got you.
Yeah, but I always hope for the best. I shoot for the stars. And
listen, why don't we shoot for this, right? we'll get a Frank Ntilikina stat line of like 14 points, like 5-6 rebounds, like 6 assists, and like
Hey,
a pseudo.
I'll take that.
hey, Viv. I tell you what though, Viv. I do think when Frank really gets it, he's gonna be an 18-8 guy.
From your lips to God's ears, I don't see it, but I hope you're right.
We'll see.
But you know what it is though? I see
the 8. I'm not sure about the 18.
But you know what I see though? I'm not gonna say Chris Paul, but I see the way he scores a little bit like Chris Paul, where Chris Paul's best stat lines is when he's like 18, 9, and like 2. That's when he's at his best, in my opinion. And I can see Frank at his best at his peak is when he gets in.
I've seen 3 comparisons for Frank, and these are telling comparisons, right? One is Drew Holiday to an extent. Drew Holiday's been in this league 10 years. And, compared to many of those people in that 2009 draft, a good chunk of them are not in the league anymore. Drew's been in for 10 years. And he just got paid a ton of money. The other 2 comparisons I've seen, Sean Livingston and Andre Iguodala.
That's what I was going to say.
Andre Iguodala has been in this league 15 years. Sean Livingston has survived one of the nastiest injuries anyone can have, and he's still in the league.
I think Sean Livingston, before the injury, is the perfect comparison. That's who he reminds me of.
Sean Livingston is going to be a star, man.
You combine the Sean Livingston before the athleticism of Sean Livingston pre-injury, but then you take the post-injury like IQ that he has, and you just combine that with a 3-point shot.
Well, now you're dreaming. Now you're taking the best. Now you're being the optimist. You're usually the negative guy. Now you combine it.
I'm a Frank optimist. I'll tell you that.
You know what? Viv, you know what I see, Viv? I see Tony Allen and I see Tony Allen and a post Sean Livingston. That's what I see in Frank.
I don't know. See, if you combine Sean Livingston's, like his IQ post injury is like off the chain.
Oh my God!
He's like one of the smarter, like the smartest backup point guards. In the league.
And maybe it was a blessing that he got injured. And maybe it was because maybe he wouldn't act like this.
Well, I mean, like just imagine the athleticism.
But anyway, guys, I think it's time to go to bed. I think we all got to get up, watch some football tomorrow, and get ready for the Knicks on Wednesday.
Oh. Right. Hey, don't forget we gotta wait for Monday.
Monday, yeah, exactly. I'll be streaming the football show on Monday, so I hope some of you guys tune in for that as well.
Chris, we're talking.
But I had a blast. Isaiah, thank you for coming on. Viv, Mark, Sim, of course. I always love when you come on the show.
Definitely.
I hope we can do this more often.
Hey, Chris, we got
a good show, dude.
Hey, White Chocolate, you got any more last words, White Chocolate?
Go ahead, Sim.
You mind if I just let everybody know about Martin Luther King Day?
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Chris loves black people.
Ladies and gentlemen, if some of you guys, most of you guys probably already know, but if you don't know, on January 21st, Martin Luther King's Day, the Knicks play OKC at the Garden, and we have lounge tickets available right now. So you can go to my website at nothingbutnicks.com/NBK events, and you can get one of the tickets. You guys heard us talking about it earlier. We're trying to get them sold by October 26th. All right, so you can check it out. That's what you get. You get a private lounge on Chase Bridge, food and non-alcohol beverages included, courtside at the pregame shoot-around, a tour of MSG. Costs $205 per ticket or $220 with an NBK shirt. So just go to nothingbutnicks.com and you can make the purchase right there.
Right. You got to do it. You get to watch the game with these 5 gentlemen.
Yeah, that's it, man. That's it.
But yeah, I had a blast, and I wanted to everybody who stuck around. I unfortunately I couldn't see the chat, but everybody who stuck around in the chat and commented, I appreciate everybody who always tunes into my channel. So thank you, and thank you for everybody who came on tonight. I always like talking hoops with you guys.
We heart you, Chris. We heart you.
No doubt.
And anytime I live stream, I would love to have you guys back on.
Hey, Chris, we're gonna trade you for Kanye. All right, we're gonna trade you for Kanye.
No,
you can come to the cookouts.
I'll be there.
You go on cue, man. I got you one of them. You on top priority. Yeah.
But but any final words by anybody, or we're gonna close it out now?
You end the show, man. It's your show.
Close it out.
No, that's it, man. That's all. I mean, I'll close it out. I always close it out. As always. Cheers.
All right.
What's up.
Peace, everybody.
Yeah, peace, y'all. Peace.
Dipset.